Okay. All right. So what I wanted to do real quickly, it was part of one of the handouts that I sent last night, uh, was this little diagram of what the thumbnails or cells, as they call them, in your film strip look like. Okay. Uh, and as I showed you, you can change the size of the thumbnails in that strip or the cells by grabbing the bar and pulling it up or down, and they can become bigger or smaller. And there's reasons to do both. Uh, what you can see and what you should have seen if you had a chance to read the notes from last night is that the cell includes or incorporates an incredible amount of information about the status of your photo. And when you make them really, really tiny, it's hard to see, but they take up less screen space. So it's reasonable that you'll adjust the size of the thumbnails based on what you're doing. And do you want to hide them? Do you need to make them smaller? Do you need to make them bigger so that you can see all of this information? A couple things I wanted to point out here is up in this corner of your thumbnails, there are a bunch of symbols. If you're using Lightroom, that is the mobile version, this symbol right here, this symbol indicates whether this particular photo has been synchronized between your mobile version and your desktop version. Okay. I don't do that, so it's not. And it's a whole level of complexity of working the mobile version and syncing them that I don't want to get into in an intro class, so we're not going to talk about it, but know that it's out there. The other thing that pops up in this corner sometimes is you'll get a symbol that looks like a warning sign or an exclamation point. That can be just information to tell you something's happened. So for example, we're going to talk about metadata this morning. And as you move files, the metadata can get changed, overwritten, or corrupted. It happens a lot, and it's never anything to panic about because it's easy to put it back. But if you get an exclamation point, hover over it, and Lightroom will give you a message. It'll tell you one of a couple of things. It'll say that the metadata has been changed by another application. I don't know, maybe the Martians got into your computer, because it happens to us all the time. We can't figure out why, I'll be honest. And we just reset it and it's fine. It's not a big deal. The symbol that you get up in this corner that's more important is Lightroom can't find the photograph, which means that the link that we talked about last time, or the pointer that tells Lightroom where on your computer this photograph is stored, has been broken for some reason. It can be something that you did because you're a bad person, or, okay, I got nothing from Anita on that one. I mean, not even.
Well, I was so bad yesterday, and I did the usual thing I did, because I do this all the time where I move it and lose it, and I know about it. And what eventually I'd like to know is the way to recover it easily, because what I have to do is go back and rename the folder and re-import it all again, which is obviously not the best way to do it.
There is a much faster and easier way to do it.
I'm shocked.
And yeah, and I'll show you all. I'll show you guys how to do that today. And the most typical cause of Lightroom losing contact with the file is that you did something to the file outside of Lightroom. You renamed it outside of Lightroom. You renamed the folder that it's in outside of Lightroom. You moved the folder or the file itself outside of Lightroom. Lightroom doesn't know what you're doing when you're not in it, okay? So anytime you do anything to a photo that you've imported into Lightroom, you are running the risk, very seriously, of breaking the link. It's not the end of the world, but it means that you just have to go back in and reestablish the link, which is not really a big deal. Okay. So again, up in the upper left-hand corner, up here, you'll get the flag status. And I spent about 4 hours, I am not kidding, this is one of the reasons that my response yesterday was so late, about flag status. As you remember, there are 3 statuses that you can use with the flag uh, uh, technique. You can either flag it, like the photo in the example, this photo has been, they call this the selected flag, okay? You can have no flag status, which means it's not either selected or rejected. Or you can get the little black flag with the X in it that stands for rejected. Okay, so once upon a time, years ago, one of the things that Lightroom would do for you automatically was when you closed the program in the open catalog, Lightroom would delete all of the photos that you had marked as rejected. And it was a feature you had to turn off, okay? I could not find that for any of the recent versions from Lightroom 6 coming forward that it does, that feature exists anymore. All right, so what I'd like you to do the next time that you are in Lightroom, I want you to find a photo that you know for sure that you're not going to keep and mark it with the flag, close Lightroom and reopen Lightroom and see whether it's still there or not. Right? Because I have this fear that you're going to flag a bunch of photos with the reject, and Lightroom's going to automatically get rid of them for you, and that's not what you really were thinking. Okay, so that's a little experiment I want you to run the next time that you're getting ready to close out of Lightroom. Is find something for sure you know you don't want, click it with the X or the black flag with the X on it to reject it. Close the program, open it back up and see if it's still there. And if it's not, let me know right away because like I said, I looked and looked and looked for it and couldn't find any reference to that technique or feature one way or the other. All right. We talked about quick collections, and this is where the quick collection symbol pops up if you're using it. And I'll show you how the quick collection works in just a minute. It's another way to build a collection. I just don't like it. And it could be just that I'm old and cranky, but I just don't like it. Okay, so down here are the badges that apply to a photograph. And they allow you at a glance to tell you whether you've done anything to the photo and what you have done. So for example, this first one, and they stack up, all right? So there's not like they have a space, but that symbol there with the, it looks like a little shoe tag, indicates that you have made metadata changes to this photo. The next one, come on, all right. The next one has to do with stacking. And in fact, you can see that this photo says that it's one of 2 up here. That goes with the fact that this photograph has photos stacked with it. All right, the next one here indicates that the view that you're seeing of the image is cropped from the original. And that's a biggie for us because we'll go through photographs when kids are looking for pictures for the yearbook, and yearbook photos have to be vertical 5x7 shape photos. Well, we don't shoot that size, so we'll crop a lot of photos to that shape for kids and then we'll forget. And this is an indicator for us that we need to uncrop the photo back to the full version when we want to work on it. And this last symbol, the plus or minus looking one, indicates that you've made developing changes to the photo. You've lightened it, you've darkened it, you increased the clarity, you did whatever, okay? All right.
How does that differ from metadata changes?
Metadata changes are things like copyright information, and we'll talk about all those, all the million things that you can put in the metadata.
Okay.
This information has to do with development settings.
Okay, thank you.
And that's where, if you've made HDR, then that's where that shows as well.
Any change, any developing change of any kind that you've made to the photo, that tag pops up to let you know this photo's been edited.
Okay.
All right. The other symbol to watch for, and we won't get to this until probably a week from today on our last session, but this is an indicator that the thing that you're looking at now is a virtual copy. And we use these here quite a bit at the studio. It's one of several ways to make multiple variations of the exact same photo. And the good news is that it doesn't require you to make a copy of the file. So let's say, and I did this just yesterday, I did my very first virtually distant photo shoot on Tuesday night. And the place that we were shooting is an area down by the Eagle River Nature Center where there's lots of moss, right? So I processed one version of the photo fairly straightforward. Then I made a virtual copy of it and changed the color of the moss from green to red in the photo so that we could compare the two side by side. Exact same photo, different processing. It's a great tool. We use it. Some people hate it, think they put it in there. This is a dumb tool category. They would be wrong, but they think about it that way.
Huh.
All right. All right. Any questions about the information that shows up in these little thumbnails down in your film strip?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, everybody should be seeing my Lightroom screen now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So this is kind of where I left this catalog when class ended the other day. And I had created a catalog called Rivers. And when I click on it, I get these 4 photos that had rivers in them. Okay. So when you're in the whole sorting and trying to decide stuff, like I said, you have 3 tools that you can use for sorting files. You can use the flag status, the star status, the color status, and you can create collections. There are millions, literally, of people online that will tell you the correct way to use these tools. And nobody agrees on how to use them. You can use them any way to sort and filter and rate stuff. One of the most common techniques, and it's the one that we use here at the studio because I'm not really too bright, is we use the star system to advance photos. So we'll come back from a photo shoot, we'll have like 400 photos. Like I said before, we'll go through them initially and reject all the photos that are clearly ones we don't want to keep. Out of focus, black frames, pictures of stuff that we've got no idea why it's in there. And then we'll mark those for deletion, we'll get rid of them. Then we'll go through and we'll rename the files, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. And then what we do is we go through the photos one time from start to finish as fast as we can. And as a photo comes up, we make basically a yes or no decision on it, okay? I'm going to set all these back to 0. And in fact, I'm going to leave the what I'm going to show you. I'm thinking about 2 things at the same time here, and I shouldn't. All right, so right now I've got 2 photos that still have 1 star on them. And let's say I had more and wanted to reset everything at the same time. All right, so if you have a group of files that you want to rename or do anything to all at the same time, you have to select them all. So in this case, if I wanted to check everything in the file, I could click on the first one, then shift click on the last one, and Lightroom will highlight all of them. Okay, I'm going to clear that with Control D. Alternately, I could go in and click and Control click on the files one at a time to pick everything. okay? If you're trying to do a lot of files, that's tedious. Normally you do that typically when you just have a couple. The third technique, and this one's only good for picking everything, is you select one file and then push Control A, and it will pick everything in the film strip or everything in the collection if you're inside a collection. All right, so once I've got everything picked, I'm going to go to the grid view, which is right here. I can either click here or I can type the G key, which is a shortcut. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now everything's up here in the grid. So if I hit 5 for 5 stars, what you'll see is all 5 photos now have 5 stars on them. And if you push the J key when you're in the grid mode, it changes, it's one of the shortcuts on that shortcut sheet that I gave you. It changes the information that's displayed on your thumbnails in the grid, which is the central panel here. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on so you can see that now all of them have 5 stars. Well, the deal is I really wanted them to have 0 stars. So again, leaving them all selected, I'm going to push 0, and it's going to reset all their star statuses back to 0.
Oh, you're using your numbers on your keyboard?
Yes.
Okay.
I could have done it down here as well. I could use the attribute up here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for filtering. Sorry. Okay. I could come here and say, set the rating to however many stars I wanted. I picked 4. The best, I found that the easiest way to do it is just remember stars are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The colors take a while to learn, but after you've used them for a bit, they kind of come naturally. I just wish they had a key for purple because we use it all the time. All right, so
question.
Go ahead.
So once you've reset them to 0, there's no way to go back like, oops, I made a mistake.
You can, in Lightroom, go back one step with Control Z or Command Z. So let's say I'm going to set all these to 5. Again?
Command C?
Control Z.
I need to print that keyboard tips. I haven't looked into the file that you sent.
I'm sorry, Lorelei?
Oh, so all that, I have looked into the file attachments that you sent. I'm so sorry. But that was just my main question.
Okay. So Tina, the control key, the command key on a Mac is that weird looking key with it's like a square with loops on the corners?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if I was to go back and say I'm going to set these to 0 and then say, oop, I didn't want to do that. If I hit Control Z immediately, it will go back one step, and that's as far as it goes. You get one undo, and the minute you do something else, you lost it. So then you'd have to go back and redo them manually. So you get one undo step.
Okay.
That's something that people have asked for Lightroom to change since the very first version, and Adobe has not. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a quick collection here. When you come down and hover on a thumbnail, I'll make my thumbnails as big as possible. In the upper corner of the thumbnail for the photo itself, there's a little dot. You all see those?
Yes.
Okay, if you click that dot, it adds it to the quick collection. Okay. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that the quick collection, oh, I had everybody checked. I need to undo that. I was like, why are there 8 there? So with just the one photo selected, if I click on the little dot here, I now have one photo in my quick collection. So the theory behind the quick collection is that I could come through here as I'm working and pick photos. So let's say I pick those 3. I have 3 in the quick collection right now. And then what I can do is I can go in and I can save the quick collection, give it a name. I'm just going to call this Frank because I'm feeling Frank this morning. Okay. And then what happens is it adds Frank as a collection in your collections area, and it clears out the quick collection.
And that's, is And is that just in your catalog, or is that then all the pictures everywhere that say Frank you can get to, no matter what catalog?
The collections are catalog specific. So if you have multiple catalogs like we do, a quick collection in one catalog has no effect on another because they're different photos.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the quick collection. I played with it a lot when we first got Lightroom, and I didn't really find it that quick. So we don't use it, but that's how you use the quick collection. Okay, so any questions about quick collections or the information that's on your image thumbnails?
So quick collection and a collection, are they the same thing, just it's different how you make it?
A quick collection is a way to eventually make a collection. So it's temporary. And if you don't clear it, it keeps building up, which is what happens to us because we accidentally click that button a lot. So our quick collection on one of our catalogs that we use a lot has like 400 photos in it, none of which are actually a real collection. And so periodically we have to remember to go in and clear it out. So the idea with quick collections is that you, as you're working through photos, you add things to a collection, and then at some point you come up here and then tell the Lightroom to save the photos as a real collection with the name on it. And then it winds up down here in collections, like we did with Frank.
So there's no way to search like all catalogs for something. So let's say I'm looking, I need pictures of cakes, and I can't go in and find all the cakes pictures I've ever taken. If they're in different
all in one catalog, you can.
Right, okay, no, they would be in different catalogs, okay.
And that's why if you wind up building separate catalogs like we do, you have to understand the pitfalls of whatever scheme it is that you come up with. So for example, because of 80% of the work that we do here makes individual catalogs for each of our clients smart. It keeps them small and it allows us to go to them very, very quickly. The downside is once a year, we go through and we pick out the best photos like of all of our high school seniors. So this is where we run into a problem because now if we photographed 50 high school seniors last year and we want to pick one photo from each kid and we weren't setting them aside as we went, we have to open 50 different catalogs to find the best photo. So there's any scheme that you come up with, there's going to be pluses and minuses to it. You just got to decide what works best for the way that you work most often and what you're probably going to do. And you may find after a year or two that your catalog scheme needs to be restructured. That happens fairly frequently. It did to us too.
So you could accomplish a similar thing of looking for cakes by keyword, correct?
Right, and that's something else we're going to talk about this morning.
Right, okay.
So long as, here's the catch though, all the photos that you're going to search for, they have to be in the current open catalog.
Hey, Marco,
Yes.
sorry, before we move off of quick collections, you said that it's really easy to accidentally tap on that little circle and end up with having quick collections that you really don't mean to have,
Yeah.
which made me look at my screen. And I don't ever use quick collections, but I'm seeing I have 745 photos in quick collections. To delete those, again, when I delete anything out of quick collections, I'm not hurting anything in any of my folders, right?
Nothing's actually being deleted. You're basically just, imagine that the cards were, and that's a bad analogy. Anyways, no, you're not deleting anything. You're just eliminating a grouping.
Is there a quick way to delete the 745 other than to just highlight them?
Go up to the word quick collections.
Right.
Click on it. You'll get a little dialogue drop down with 3 choices.
Clear quick collection.
That would be the one.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay. It doesn't hurt saying that there were 728 photos in there unless you use quick collections. We don't. And that's what happens to us too, is that we'll look up there and go, so many in here. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
question. I think I missed when you mentioned about how to move the quick collection to another specific collection, like you're
Okay.
done with the quick collection.
I'll do that again real quickly. So I'll pick on this one, photos with trees in it, okay?
Mhm.
So that one's got a tree. Those are kind of trees. There's a bush in the back there, and then there's trees. So I made a quick collection now that has 4 items that I quick collected. So
Got
now
it.
I right click on quick collection and I say
Click.
save. And now I say
Oh, I see it.
and now I've got a new quick collection with just the
With
4
trees.
photos that have trees in it.
Okay, got it.
And you can see that quick collections is now empty because that little box was checked to say, once you create a new collection, empty this out. Okay. So you can decide whether you like that tool or not, whether it works for the way that you work, but that's how it works. Okay.
Got it. Thanks.
To answer your question, this collection of rivers, on retrospect, I think this is a stupid collection. Okay. So I'm going to delete this collection. So I'm going to come down to rivers, going to right click on it, and I'm going to say delete. Okay. And it tells me there are 4 photos in this collection. Deleted. I don't care. All right. But when I go back to my main folder, all those photos that were in that collection are still here. Okay.
You know, I have a question. So with what you do at the studio, you must have a massive amount of deletions. Do you go in regularly to your garbage collection box and empty it?
Every Monday morning.
Okay.
It's part of our weekly maintenance tasks, and it's one of the things that we do because we have a server. We have to do it on all 3 of our computers and on the server as well.
Okay. So that's what I do too. I try to empty mine as much as I can, just again because space is a precious commodity, and I figure if I've deleted them, why do I want any of that stuff taking up space anywhere on my computer?
Yep. Well, there's a lot of people that feel the same way that you do.
So just for terminology clarification for me, if you put it in a quick collection, it's essentially a temporary hold of the thumbnails, and then you can do anything with it you want, but the main image and the main thumbnails reside just like if you'd never made a quick collection.
Say that one more time, Chuck. I'm not following.
Okay, well, when you created Rivers,
Okay.
I'm assuming that all that was in Rivers were the thumbnails that pointed to the Rivers images in Lightroom, wherever
Sure,
it is.
because that's the way the program works.
Okay, so you also have got the 8 pointers that are untouched by the process of going into a collection. You've essentially added a second index.
No, that's not correct. That's not the way they actually work. If you want to get into the computer geeky part of what's going on, is there's a storage place. Once you create a link, Lightroom only has one link back to your photo. It doesn't create multiple links to the photo. It has one link to the photo with information about it. One of the items of information is what and how many collections does this photo belong to? So when the bald guy clicks on trees, which photos do I show him? I show him everything that has a switch set for that collection. It's not a second link.
Okay, so it's a tree structure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Gets me all excited when you talk computer geeky stuff like that. Back to my program.
You won't ever hear that from me.
All right. So there's an item down here called Publish Services, and I am gonna avoid this. My experience with the publishing service is that they're kind of clunky to use. there are other ways to do stuff, but the idea is you can add modules to automatically download and upload images from Lightroom to things like Flickr, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Adobe stock images. There's literally dozens of them. I don't use them, and I think at an intro class, they just confuse the water, so we're not going to talk about them. They're the cousin that went to jail when they were 17. Okay, we just don't.
I clicked on the Facebook one last night because I was trying to figure out how to put some pictures on Facebook, and it said you can no longer set it up for Facebook.
Yes.
All right, but it's still in there, so go figure. And we'll get into this in detail a week from today when we talk about getting stuff out of Lightroom. But the general process that I found to be most reliable is when you want to put something online, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you export it to a location, and then from that location in your file, you do a normal import into whatever social media platform or whatever you want to do. Like, for example, last night, because the girls are working from home right now, I uploaded a bunch of photos for them to do retouching on at home. So what I did was I exported the ones I wanted them to work on out of Lightroom, and then I put them into Dropbox from there, and then they downloaded them. You can get a Dropbox module to do that automatically, which supposedly saves you time if you do it a lot. Setting it up is real tedious, and like I said, after you get comfortable with Lightroom, if that's something that you do a lot, you can read about those publishing services and how to use them.
So all I did was I saved the photo back to where the original photos were, and then I just dragged the photo right into Facebook on my.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, it was really easy.
Okay. Hey, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. All right. But I always like to say. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come over to the right side of the panel and talk about a couple things. So this quick develop up here, we're not going to talk about it because it's another feature in Lightroom that I think is stupid. If you're going to develop a photo, just go to the develop module and be serious. The quick develop has never panned out. It was intended to, oh, let me just make a quick change to this photo. Well, nobody makes one quick change. Once you start playing with it, you start playing with it. So the idea is there are a limited number of developing tools here. They don't work well. They're clunky to use. So my advice is when you're ready to start making adjustments to your photo, just go into the develop module and do it there. Okay, so we're going to come up to the very first drop down, and all of these things, just like on the other side, I'm going to collapse these. If you click on these little triangles, they open and close the dialog boxes, right? That portion of the panel. This is where here in the histogram, you see some information that may or may not be useful to you. One is it'll have your exposure information, ISO setting, focal length of your lens, aperture setting, and your shutter speed setting, along with the histogram of what the photo looks like. All right. On mine, I leave it on because this is information that I use a fair amount. All right, but we're going to close it right now to save space. So we come to keywording. Dun, dun, dun. Someone's supposed to do the dramatic music. All right, so like I said, keywording is not something that we do because the way that we work, it doesn't work for us. But as a couple of you alluded to just a little bit ago, keywording is an extremely powerful way to sort through a large catalog to find photos if you keyworded them when earlier. Otherwise, you can't search through photos with keywords that weren't keyworded. Keywording works really efficiently. It's got some neat tools in here for adding keywords and searching for them. One of the things that's clunky though is one of the ways that you can search for keywords is clunky to back out of. All right, so, and I'll explain that when we get there. All right, so we've got the keywording panel up. All right, so the idea of keywording is that when you take a photo, anything that's unique about that photo that would make it worthwhile to keyword, that you might search for later, you would want to add a keyword for. So I took this photo in Utah, in southern Utah, about 10 years ago. It's of Canyonland. There's a lot of sky, there's clouds, and there's a cool dead tree in it, okay? So some possible keywords would be, the location would be Utah, and you separate keywords with the comma. I'm going to put desert, sky, clouds, canyon. Okay, cool dead tree is not something I would ever search for. Okay, so once I've typed in all the keywords that I think are applicable to this, I hit the enter key, and now you'll see that down here, the keywording tag is now active on this photo. Okay, none of the other photos have the keyword tag. All right, so I come over to this photo, and uh-oh, something's changed. All right, down here are suggested keywords, and Lightroom will show you 9 suggested keywords. Lightroom assumes that the photo you're working on now is related in some way to the photo that you worked on last, okay? Which is frequently true, but not always. So what it will do is it will show you the last 9 keywords that you used, okay? Assuming that those are likely to apply here. So one way that I could now add keywords, because down here in the suggested area, there are keywords. Well, this is still in Utah, so I can click that one. It's still desert, I can click that one. It's still a canyon, I can click that one. There are no clouds or sky in this one though. Okay, but there's a creek, so I'm gonna put river, because I call all flowing bodies of water river. Just because it's easier for me to, laughing at me, that'll get you Lightroom attention.
You're not alone, Marco. She laughs at me.
She laughs at all of us.
I laugh at me too.
All right, so now that we're done being mean to people, we'll go to the next photo, okay? And now what we see is this photo also has no keywords assigned to it, but the 6 keywords that we had before are still here, okay? The window up here is blank, which means there are no keywords. There's also no keyword icon down here. But let's say that when I was out on this trip that I took 1,000 photos. And there are some keywords that I want to apply to all 1,000 photos. I don't want to do this 1,000 times. My life is way too short. So there are multiple ways to add keywords to multiple photos. So I'm looking at this photo, and for the most part, this photo has the same keywords as this photo. All right, so one way to copy keywords from one photo to another would be to click on the photo that has the keywords. Then control click or shift click or whatever you need to do to select any other photos, unlimited number, that the same keywords will apply to, okay? In this case, it's just one. So now I come down here to the sync button, okay? And I'm going to click the sync button, and we're going to come back to this button several times this morning. So I click the sync button, and it's going to pop up the metadata sync window, okay? Now, we can see that most of the information in here is blank. La, 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 la. okay? Until we get to the very bottom and we can see that this photo, there are keywords down here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click the keyword box, and that's the only thing that I wanna synchronize, because all these boxes on the right-hand side allow us to select the items that we wanna synchronize. If we select the box on the left side, it picks everything in a group. If we don't want the whole group, we can pick and choose the items that we want to synchronize. Okay? So in this case, the only thing I want to do is synchronize the keywords. So I can click here or here, and then I click the synchronize button. Now you'll see that the little icon for keywords just popped up. And if I click on this photo, lo and behold, it's got the same keywords. Now, I just did that for one photo. If I had been keywording all the photos from this trip, and remember, I was on a week-long trip on this river, and I was photographing all day, every day, and I downloaded all these photos when I got home. So I had like 1,500 photos. And I could have downloaded, I could have keyworded all 1,500 photos with canyon, river, desert, and Utah all at one time. Okay? So that's one way to do multiple photos. Another way would be to click several photos. So I'm gonna select this one, and number 6 and number 7. Now what all three of these photos have in common was that in this case, they were taken in Alaska, okay? Okay, so down here on the sync button again, there's a little switch over here on the left-hand side. Don, you may not have the switch.
I see the switch.
Okay, so I wasn't sure in what version they added it.
I don't
If
have a switch.
Say again?
I don't have a switch.
It's a little, it looks like a button on the left-hand side of the sync button.
Yeah, it just says sync metadata.
Okay.
It's okay. When I click on the sync metadata, it's still the same box pops up.
Yeah, but there's another tool that we need to get to you. Push the Alt key
Oh,
down for me.
the what?
The Alt key on your
Alt.
keyboard, and see whether it switches what the button says.
Nope.
Okay. All right. So yours doesn't have this feature. So, Laura, what version of Lightroom do you have?
You know, that was my question last night. I did not get an answer to that. I don't know.
Okay.
How do I find that out?
When we take a break here in a little bit, I'll have you hang on for a minute. We'll work this out.
Okay, I'll write it down. Okay.
Okay. So if you click the little switch button there, it changes the button may or may not change color, but it will change it from sync to auto sync. And this auto sync button, we'll see this again next week when we talk about developing photos. But what auto sync does at this particular point, any change we make to any of the metadata, whether it's keywords or anything else, whatever we change on the current photo will be automatically made to all of the other selected photos as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and because these were all in Alaska, I'm going to type Alaska. And these are the only things that they have in common, so I'm going to just call that good, hit the return key. And if you notice, for photos 6 and 7, the metadata tag popped up. And in fact, they both have Alaska as well. All
Did you
right?
have to have them selected, or you didn't have to have them selected?
They had to be selected. So what you do is you select all the photos that you want to change at one time, and then you turn the auto select on, and it stays on until you turn it off, by the way. As you can see, when only one photo is selected, it goes away. But the minute I start selecting multiple photos, it re-energizes, it comes back active. So I need to turn that off so I don't make a mistake, which we've done before. Trust me, it's painful. Okay. So that's a couple different ways to synchronize entries with metadata, not just keywords. Okay, it works that way.
One question.
Go ahead, Chuck.
You go back and you're looking at photo number 1 and you decide you wished you had keyworded it with river.
Okay,
Is the one down there.
I have two options. I select photo 1. I can either click the river button or I could have typed it in.
Okay, because so river's in the suggestion. All right. Then the other thing I notice is that it alphabetizes them.
Yes, it does. So you got to watch it. It'll reshuffle them and it'll put them in alphabetical order. Because some people will, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you control that option?
Don't know. I'll have to look that one up. Hold on a minute.
Does it matter if you type them in caps or lowercase in terms of then when you later go back to do a search?
I do believe that they are, well, let's do a quick experiment. Because like I said, I don't do a lot of keywording. I'm going to write Utah in lowercase letters. So case matters.
Oh, it does?
It does. So it's case sensitive.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I said the same thing. Oh, wow. That makes a difference. Wow.
So if I had typed Canyon in all caps, and then later I went to search Canyon and I searched in lowercase, it would not find the photos that were labeled with the uppercase Canyon?
Well, I don't think so. But what we're going to do is I'm going to leave the lowercase Utah in there. And when we talk about searching for keywords, we'll find out.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe you were mad when you first wrote Canyon, all caps.
Well,
I think it's safe to have them all in small.
All right. So my continuing question with this is, I think hierarchically. So I would want to have my keywords be hierarchical. Can I do that?
I don't know. There is some level of being able to make them to structure them that way, but I believe that Lightroom always puts them in alphabetic order. So I'm going to check on that when I have a chance.
Okay, no screaming rush. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So you can create sets of keywords, and I just want you to be aware that this is a feature. So let's say there are groups of keywords that you always use together. So for example, I'm going to pick on Anita because she's posting a lot. So let's say that you go out in the spring or fall every year, every day for 3 weeks straight, and every day you go down to Potter Marsh and you photograph birds every day. And so every day you come home and you're keywording these things, and you wind up using the same 15 keywords minus the bird species: Alaska, Anchorage, Potter Marsh, fall, birds, and you get this group. So what you can do is you can create a group of keywords that when you come down and click on them, it activates a group of keywords that you can rapidly enter. It's just be aware that it's something that you can do. If you're interested in that sort of thing, once you understand how keywords work, when you've played with them a bit, using this feature is actually pretty straightforward. All right, and those keywords, when you click them, they show up down here in this area. You get 9 little boxes. Okay. All right, so after we've gone through and keyworded stuff, so I'm going to real rapidly keyword a couple more things. So I'm going to put birds. I'm going to say that this is a lake and not a river. Okay, just because.
Uh-oh, that's just bad.
I can do whatever I want. These are my pictures. And I'm going to say spring. That's when these were taken in the early spring. And what kind of birds are these? They're swans, right? Or are they geese?
They're big-footed birds.
Okay, we're going to call them geese. I don't know what they are. Okay.
It looks swan to me.
All right, we'll call them swans then. Since no one else needs to have any input on it, we'll go with Lorelei. So we say swans. Okay, so that's good. So I'm going to go to the next photo. And this one was taken in Hawaii. The beach. There's a boat. There's an ocean. And there's a palm tree. Okay.
Spelled it wrong. You
Right.
missed this one.
Oh yeah, I guess I did.
My question is, why would you have your Alaska, Hawaii, and Utah pictures all in the same catalog?
Because I was looking for pictures to use for class. It depends on how you think about your catalogs. So, for example, I'm going to pick on Ed Boudreau, one, because he's not here, and two, he's a former student. Is that Ed does lots and lots of landscapes in all over the place. And so he travels throughout Alaska, he travels in the lower 48, and so it would be reasonable for him, for his landscape photography, to keep it all in one place if he's looking for sunsets or big skies or mountains or deserts. He has them all in one catalog. It is a way to think about stuff. And remember, I can't emphasize this enough. The way that you structure and use Lightroom is what works for you best, not what some talking head on the internet says you should do with it, okay? If you can make it, if you can bend it to your will and make it do what you want, you're great. Okay, so that's good for that one. All right, so this one was in Alaska. It was in Homer. There's a road in it. There's a mailbox. And there's mountains. Okay. And going to come to this last one. And this is here in Eagle River. There's a river in it. And be aware that Eagle River and river are different because Eagle River is inside of a comma. So Lightroom's going to consider not Eagle and river, but Eagle River is a single word. Okay. Anything inside the commas is a single word. And this was also in the spring, and there's rocks in it. Okay. So when we come to this last one, okay, so on this one, there's a river in it. I'm just going to click.
Those are popcorn.
Yes, it is. We shot these for Jazzy Popcorn a couple of years ago.
Oh, I thought so. Oh, cool.
In Alaska. This was out in Sutton. I was trespassing. I found out later when I took these. We were leaving and we got busted by the property owner. He goes, you know, that's not public property. I'm like, I am so out of here. Gold pan and popcorn. Okay, so now I've keyworded all these photos. All right, so imagine that you've got thousands of photos or whatever, but at any rate, we're gonna close the keywording panel for a second, and I'm gonna open up the keyword list. And what happens now is that Lightroom goes through all of my photos and looks at all of the different keywords that I've put in here, okay? And it gives me a count. So for example, I have 3 that say desert, I have 5 that say river, I have 2 that say spring, I have 3 that say Utah. I've got 4 that say Alaska. So you can correct spelling here, and this is a way to correct the spelling of if you've misentered stuff. But the bigger idea now is that we can search for keywords, and there are multiple ways to search for keywords. So the first one that I'm going to show you is the oldest way. I'm going to hit that / key that's up by the delete key, and it opens up this library filter bar at the top of the screen again, okay? And I'm gonna come down here to metadata. Oops. Sorry, I do this wrong every time. Come on. I'm gonna go to text. Whew. All right. So once I get into the text mode, there's this first item, it says any searchable field. I'm gonna click on it, and I'm gonna come down here and say, I just wanna search keywords. And then I start typing in the keywords. So I'm gonna type in Utah in lower cases, and let's see what we get. And it gives me all 3 photos.
As it's interesting, it blended the uppercase Utah and the lowercase, so it knows that those are proper nouns.
Right. And if we go back now and look at these photos one at a time, I'll go ahead and open the keywording list back up. We can see in the first one, Utah is capitalized. In the second one, it's capitalized. And in the third one, it's capitalized. So the place where I typed it twice and lowercased it, it fixed it.
It did fix it. Oh, it fixed it?
Yep.
Yes.
I typed it
Oh.
twice and it recognized that it was the same word.
Wow. It overrode your, it said, this is a proper noun, and so I'm going to make it that no matter what Marco says.
Pretty much. All right.
Hmm.
So there is a limited ability of the keywording system to self-correct. Okay, so let's say I wanted to search for more than just Utah. Let's say I wanted to search for everything that had Utah and a river in it. Well, they all do because we put river in here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come up here to this first one because there's not really a river in photo number 1. At least not that I can see. All right, so we're going to remove the keyword from here. So I'm just going to come up and I'm going to backspace that guy into oblivion. And then it disappeared from the group because the search settings are still active. Okay, so the minute I type river and Utah, now it only gives me 2. So I'm going to come up in here and delete river from my search tools, and now it's back. If I add in desert, well, I still get all 3. So let's try a different one. I'm going to start with Alaska, and I get 5. I'm going to type Alaskan river, I get 2. I'm going to type Alaska river and popcorn, and I get just that 1. It will do this for, you can search a collection, you can search a folder this way, or you can search the entire catalog. It all depends what you've got active when you open the search menu. Now, the thing to remember when you search this way is you have to come up here and clear the window, because otherwise the search stays active even if you hide it. And people will say, oh, my pictures are gone. I deleted all my pictures except 4. The thing is they've got the filter on and it's only showing them 4. They're all still there.
Hey, Marco, when you enter your search query, do you have to, like, you type Utah, comma, did you hit comma? I can't remember. Did you?
Yes, I did. You have to separate the commas.
So after you type Utah, comma, river, do you hit enter, or does it just automatically?
It does it as you're typing, and it realizes that there is an answer already for what you're typing.
Okay, thanks.
So for example, once I typed the word O in popcorn, it dropped everything out except the one that had popcorn, because that was the only thing on the list that had PO in it. So we'll come back and we'll look at the list down here. Okay, so I've cleared the list up here. There is another quick way to search, and this is the one that's clunky to get out of. And a lot of people get in here and they think they've broken Lightroom, and the only way they can get out of it is to close the program and reopen it. All right. So I'm going to pick a different keyword. I'm going to pick the one that says river. As you hover over keywords down here, you'll see that a little white arrow pops up on the right-hand side, okay? This is a quick way to search. So if I come down here and say, what are the photos that have spring in it? I can come over and click on the little arrow. And it's going to show me just the ones that have spring. The problem is, it would seem obvious that if I re-click the arrow, it should back me out, but it doesn't. There's not a good way to back out of this. So you have to come back up here to the filter bar to clear the selection. And this is why I was in the metadata before. So I'm done looking at the spring ones and I want to look at everything. So up here in the library filter, we check on metadata, and one of the items here will be keywords. So I'll scroll up and then say, show me all keywords. And then it shows me everything. That's the
Boy,
only,
that's clunky.
oh, tell me about it.
That's awful.
Clunky. And a lot of people they'll get in here and they can't figure out how to get out. And the other way to do it is to shut the program down and restart it, which is dumb. So while we're here in this window, how many people was keyword the first item in their metadata items?
I would.
Didn't have it at all. Typically, depending on how big your screen is, you'll get between 3 and 6 of these items in the window. So Don, how many do you have?
I'm moving it around so I got 4.
Okay. Anita, how about you?
Oh God, I lost the top part of the screen where you have the library filters. Huh?
Backslash up by delete.
Is there a way to get there without using the keyboard?
Yeah, you can go up to view and then show filter bar.
Marco, I'm just looking at your screen. What do I need to do? I mean,
Yeah,
I
me
have
too.
my Lightroom open, but
I have your screen, the full screen, so.
Oh, all right, so to open up the library filters, there are 2 ways to do it. You can hit the backslash key, which is the one up by the delete or the backspace key, or you can go up to view and then click show filter bar.
oh, here I am. Okay.
How do I make your screen smaller again so that I can?
I think you double click on the right in the middle of the screen and it'll minimize it.
Right in the middle of the screen. Oh, that's easy. Okay.
All right. So I have 4 buttons, Marco.
Okay, and Chuck, what do yours say?
Text, attribute, metadata, and none.
No, below that there should click on the metadata item.
I have date, camera, lens, and label.
Okay, I assumed, apparently incorrectly, that you guys were all following along in your version of Lightroom while we were doing this.
I was just watching.
Yeah.
I was
We were
just,
just- I was watching you.
I was
Okay.
just watching you.
All right. For example, Chuck does not have in the Windows in the library up here. He doesn't have keywords. Well, he obviously got a defective copy of Lightroom and he has to quit. Okay.
You just need to toggle down.
Right. So if you come up where
Click on keyword.
everybody have one that says camera.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Got
Alright.
it.
So right to the right of the word camera, if you hover over camera with your cursor, you'll see that there's a little up and down arrow that appears next to the word camera.
Yes.
Any one of these words. If you click on that, it opens up a whole bunch of information that you can toggle up. So just make sure that you've done that and one of them shows you keywords.
Yes. Should we click on keyword?
Yeah, make sure you've got keyword active at this point.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't even know where to go here. So
Okay.
how do I see the stuff to the right? I only see the stuff. Oh wait. I There we go. Okay, so keywording. Okay, what are we supposed to be looking at?
Just make sure that keyword, click on keyword so that it is the title for one of your 4 columns of information under the metadata group.
So am I limited to 4 categories?
It looks like everybody seems to have 4, and I'm playing with my screen here, and I can go down to 3, but I can only get 4. I thought that we used to be able to get up to 6, but it looks like it's just 4.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, so what is it you're trying to do, Tina?
Okay, wait, where'd it go? Okay, so I found keyword. It's got the histogram, keyword set, custom, keyword list. Like, where do you want us right now?
All right, Tina, do me a favor. I'm going to unshare my screen. Go ahead and share your screen with me so I can see where you're at.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So what I want you to do is hit the backspace key.
Backspace,
Yeah, or not the backspace, but the backslash key. I'm sorry.
backslash.
And that will open up your library filter, and then click on metadata. And then you have date, camera, lens, and label. So we're going to go over to lens is probably the least useful of these for right now. So go down and hover on the word lens, right on the word lens itself. And you see those 2 little arrows now that popped up? Click on those. And then scroll down or up in your case to the keyword and click on it. Right? So what this tells me right now is that you have no keywords, right? You have 70 photographs in your catalog, but no keywords, right? So as you add keywords, they'll pop up. This is where you would go to if you use the quick item for finding keywords. This is the only place to clear it. So let's do this. Go ahead and unshare your screen, please. We're at about 10:20. We'll take a 10-minute break. And what I'd like you to do is, once you've gotten up and stretched a little bit, sit down and go ahead and add keywords to about 10 photographs in your catalog.
I think I'm thinking about catalogs differently because I guess the way I was thinking about how you do catalogs is that it would be like not a lot of photos, like maybe 100 photos or whatever. And so why would you need keywords, I guess, because you could easily look through all of them. But so I guess I'm just, like you said, some people use them to keep more, like a massive amount of stuff. So I guess I need to figure that out.
For as much as we shoot here, like I said, we shoot about 250,000 photos a year here. That's total of everything, not keepers. But and so for us, if we kept everything in a single catalog, that would rapidly overwhelm us.
Right.
So because we divide our catalogs up into clients, I have some catalogs with as few as 30 photos in them, and I have some catalogs with as many as about 3,000 photos. But 3,000 is probably the largest catalog that we operate with, which by most Lightroom user standards is a small catalog.
Okay. So I guess if you went on a vacation, you would have all those in a catalog and you could have thousands. So that makes sense to me. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around how best to do it. But anyway, okay.
All righty. So let's see. Lorelei, you still there?
She is gone.
She's gone. Okay. All right. So I'll see you all back here.
With keywords, is that what you said? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead again, Ginger.
Do you want us to keyword our photos?
Pick like 10 and add a couple keywords to each of them, just so that you have some keywords in your library if you don't already.
Okay, and I had one more question. On the metadata, does it tell you how large your picture is? How large your photo is? You know, like megabytes and stuff? I haven't been able to find that anywhere.
You know, that's not a piece of information that I routinely look for. There's a couple places where the program will tell you how large it is in terms of pixels, the
Right.
dimensions of it, you know, the
Right.
X pixels by X number of pixels. And generally speaking, your photos will fall within a range of size, particularly if you're shooting raw. So
Right.
what camera are you shooting again, Ginger?
Nikon D500.
Okay, so a D500, your photos should be somewhere around 20, your raw files should be somewhere around 25 megabytes-ish.
Right.
They'll change a little bit, but they'll be, each photo as it's imported will be about 25 megabytes. If you start working, if you're creating JPEGs that you import into Lightroom, or if you have created PSDs because you're using Photoshop, those files will be significantly different in size. And the problem is that all the tools, the tools that I typically use to keep track of physical size, like megabytes and gigabytes, are all in Photoshop, and I don't want to mix apples and oranges. So I'll check on that here in just a sec. You get
I
that.
wondered if I was importing the right size or something, because my thing's so messed up with that photo that I had them all in, and I was exporting. When I put them into Lightroom, am I getting a thumbnail? Am I getting a big enough photo? That kind of thing.
Well, one way that you can get a feel for it is, one, what is the file extension? So do me a favor, go ahead and share your screen with me real quick.
Okay. Hold on. So share screen. Oh wait, did I do the wrong thing? I might have done the wrong thing. What's
Yeah, I'm still looking at you.
Hold on. Here's mine. Oh Lord. So you don't hit this share screen at the bottom.
Yeah, you start by hitting the share screen, and then it pops up a window where you get to pick which thing you want to share.
This one. No, this.
Okay.
Okay, got
All
it.
right. So what I want you to do is, hold on, I want to. Can you see my mouse now?
No.
That's weird. How about if I draw?
Yes, I
Okay,
see a green box.
All right, so this box right here, the loop view box, go ahead and click on that.
So this. Okay.
Okay, so what I want you to do is push the I key.
The I. Okay.
I, the letter I. Okay, so this turns on your loop information. So what this tells me is the photo that we're looking at now is a JPEG file. It's not a RAW file,
Okay.
and it's a big file. This is almost full size, and do me a favor, go over and click on the develop button. Go into the develop module. We're going to cheat and get ahead.
Okay.
Okay, click on it. We'll go in there real quick. All right. And what I want you to do is we're going to very quickly, we're going to look at the cropping. I want you to click on that box right there.
Okay.
Okay, click on that box again. That told me what I need to know. All right, so what it looks like we're looking at, and click on the library tab. We'll go back there.
Okay.
So the information on this particular photo that we're seeing right now is the file name, and because we see the extension, the file type. This is a JPEG.
Mm-hmm.
And the next line down gives the capture date and time.
Right.
The next line down gives us the size in
Pixels. Yes.
So this looks like it's a full frame capture from your camera.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know where to find those numbers at all. I mean, I was like, I don't know how big this photo is. So.
And see, here's the thing though, with your RAW files, as a general rule, this isn't always true, but your RAW files, regardless of what you photograph, will be about the same size. They'll be relatively close in size. JPEGs, on the other hand, another JPEG with the exact same dimensions could be half the size physically in kilobytes as this one, depending on what's in it, because it's the way that JPEGs throw out information to minimize their physical size. do me a favor, hit the I key one more time. All right, now we're looking at the exposure information. Okay, and we can change this stuff. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And hit the I key one more time. And
Okay.
do me another favor. Over on the right-hand side, the right panel where it says metadata down there,
Uh-huh.
go ahead and expand that for me real quick. All right, and scroll down a bunch. And let's see. Blah, blah, blah. No, it gives the same information. I thought maybe it gave the physical size. I couldn't remember. Yeah, the tools that I normally use to keep track of actual kilobyte size are all in Photoshop. So,
Okay.
okay, go ahead and unshare if you would.
Okay. How do I do this? Why is this so? Oh, screen sharing. Did I do it?
Up at the top, there'll be a red button.
There.
Okay. Okay, so Lorelei, do me a favor and go ahead and share your screen with me if you would. So everybody else needs to be keywording up to about 10 photos if you haven't done it already.
Share screen. Okay.
All right, so do me a favor, go up and click on help.
Help. Okay.
All right.
Got
and
it.
What you're going to do is you're going to come down to right here. Hold on. Got to move this thing. You're going to click on that right there.
Oh, you're looking at version. We're looking for version.
Right. And so this tells you what version you've got.
6.
You've got Lightroom 6. Okay. It also tells you that it's 6.0 and you're using Camera Raw version 9.0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you can go ahead and clear this and unshare. So give me a second, and I'm going to go find how to turn your auto sync on. There's a key thing that you have to do while you're doing it. So if you could unshare that, that'd be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, where is the unshare?
Up at the top, there should be a red button that says stop sharing.
Why am I always at loss with these things? Nope. Unshare, come on.
Right at the top of your Zoom window, if you hover up there, a red button will appear that says stop sharing. Kind of right in the middle at the top.
I am lost. Hang on. Let me expand this window.
Where your Lightroom is, there's like a big green box around it right now because that tells you that you're sharing.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Sorry. There you go. I have 2 monitors. That's how I was looking at the other monitor.
It may be confusing, so give me a second to look this up. So,
What was that we were looking for earlier? That I do not have the auto sync button, right?
that's what I wanted to check to see which version of Lightroom that you had.
I do not have that either, so I guess I made a mistake too.
Alrighty, so I'll find it in a sec. So go ahead and play with keywords. Try entering them different ways, typing them in with commas, also picking them out of the recently used one list.
Okay.
And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to look.
Suggestion. Okay.
I'm wondering why I'm clicking on these are not giving me, it says photo is missing and isn't showing isn't showing the histogram for it.
And that's because the link has been broken, and we can fix that in just a second for you.
How did I do that already?
I'll have you pull your thing up here in a minute. Fix this other thing, and we'll get that fixed for you.
Also have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
The photos that I'm importing, the raw files are not being imported. I know that my files are on CR3. I'm not sure if that's got something to do with that.
Yeah, you're running I got bad news for you.
Yeah.
Try a new version of Lightroom. Sorry. Your
Wrong
Lightroom
version.
will not look at these raw files ever. It isn't going to happen.
I'm
And-
sorry. Say it again. You muffled.
Say again?
Your audio muffled for a little bit. What was
Okay. Here's the problem that you're facing is that you have an older version of Lightroom. You're running Lightroom 6.
Mm-hmm.
There's another part of Lightroom that we haven't talked about yet, and it's called the Adobe Camera Raw. Adobe Camera Raw is a software module that Lightroom uses to be able to interpret and view raw camera data.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, for example, we've got the most up-to-date version of Lightroom and the most up-to-date camera raw. So any camera that was released in the last up to 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
you can import the raw files from them because the Adobe Camera Raw is up to date. And it can interpret all of the raw files from all these different kind of cameras. Well, this is a catch-22 that Adobe has built for all of us users, is that at a certain point, older versions of Lightroom, particularly the standalone versions, they have to be able to talk to the Lightroom, the Adobe Camera Raw module. And at a certain point, they said this version of Adobe Camera Raw that we're publishing now will not talk with any version of Lightroom that's more than 2 versions old. Okay? So what happens is that you have a new camera because you're shooting CR3s. So what that means is you have to be running the most current version of Adobe Camera Raw, which is like, I don't know, 22.1 or something like that. I forget what it is.
Got it.
But that version of Adobe Camera Raw will not work with your version of Lightroom.
I thought so.
So to get it to work, because you've got a new camera, if you want to use Lightroom, there is an option. There's a workaround, but it's clunky. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that you can do is you can convert your photos to DNGs.
DNGs.
DNGs will
Yeah.
import into your version of Lightroom. So that's an extra step. You would have to download the stuff, convert them to DNGs, and then those you could import into Lightroom.
Yeah, I heard about that. Okay.
This was
All
part of Adobe's sinister master plan to get everybody on their subscription system.
Yeah.
Is to buy a new camera.
Yep. Thanks. I heard that before, but I just didn't. Thought I'd officially ask somebody and tell me you got the wrong iOS with iPhones. But okay, thanks.
All right. I am not finding it. This is weird.
My search thing won't work.
Was that Anita?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not an operator error. I'm sure it's the software's broken.
Okay, so Anita, let's go ahead and share your screen, would you?
Okay. And I tried to change my nameplate while you were talking, and it made everything obnoxiously big up there, but okay.
Yeah, that happens, and that's easy to fix.
It's really obnoxious. No, that's not it.
Okay, so let's fix the obnoxious big stuff first. Go over to where it says Hi, Anita,
Okay.
and see that little down triangle that just showed up?
Yep.
Right click on it.
Oh, whoops.
No, right click.
Yep.
Go down to identity plate, edit identity plate, the bottom item.
Yep.
Now go over to the little window in the lower, the right-hand side where you see the giant word library.
Yep.
And change the size of the font.
I tried to do that and it wouldn't accept it.
Click on it.
Click OK.
Yep.
Well, it's doing it for you. Isn't that something?
Okay then.
Let me make it.
Anita, did you put?
No, see, look, I had it on 18 and it made it to 41. It's not.
But is it the size you want it?
No, I want it down to 18. So I click 18.
Okay.
And then I click OK.
All right. So is it right now visually on your computer the size that you want it?
Nope. It's
okay.
big.
Go back in.
See, it's at 41. It didn't take my command to do 18.
All right. Hold on. Hover over that little box for me, would you? All right. Click the box, would you? All right. That didn't do what I thought. Okay. Go ahead and cancel. Get the cancel out of this. Yeah, there we go. All right. So.
Maybe I'll just turn off the whole thing and turn it back on.
That's not going to fix it. This is something I've never seen before. Do me a favor.
You know what? I can live with this until after the class.
Okay. All right.
I'm fine with this. We'll just have it be this way.
All right. I've got a quick question for you, though, Anita. Go ahead and cancel out of here.
Okay.
Did you put quotation marks around your keywords?
You know, there are some in the going way back in time that I'm sure I have, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I'll have to go in and edit those and take those quotation marks off. I didn't know if I should use commas, quotation marks. Anyway.
Okay, hold on a minute.
I'll fix that.
Anybody else having any problems getting keywords into photos?
Well, the only problem that I have is when you were talking about that switch on the sync metadata. I was working on keywords and I missed how to get my switch to show up.
Okay, but you're not seeing the switch though, right?
Correct.
What's for lunch, Anita?
Yeah, really. Oh, no.
You're clanking.
Extra cherry fruit mix, and I noticed on the back it says satisfaction guaranteed, great quality.
How about that?
Isn't that, I mean, how much better can it get?
Well, you're quite the cook.
I am. I'm amazing myself.
Anita.
Yes.
Can you unshare, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Oh, now, Marco, if I go back, if I may go back to the raw files. So now I'm looking at my old, I mean, the photos that I took with my old camera. So now I'm seeing that format, the CR2s, so that I could work with, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
if you want to import those CR3 files, you're going to need to upgrade your version of Lightroom.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the only option for your camera is going to be to get the subscription system.
Yeah. But since we bought this, I wonder if there is an upgrade version for just a little amount.
For Lightroom?
Yeah.
No, Lightroom 6.
No.
Lightroom 6 is the last standalone version of Lightroom. There's
Oh,
no upgrades for it. What you got is all you're ever going to get.
dang it.
Sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I do not work for the Adobe Corporation. So,
I had a feeling about that, but yeah, it's a gift.
okay.
Can't complain.
All right.
So I'm just gonna work with the CR2s for the sake of the class, so that I could work with raw photos. Right?
Anita, since you had an example, go ahead and share your screen again. All right, so everybody, what I'm going to do is show you how to make a correction to a keyword. So Anita, go ahead and scroll up to the very top of your keyword list.
I need to get rid of this thing on the right side because it's blocking out my screen where everybody's picture is.
You can just drag it to the other side of the window.
Can I? Oh, there you go. What am I supposed to do, Marco? I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead and scroll to the top of your keyword list. Okay, so you see how the keyword there is beach lake with quotations around it?
Right.
Okay, so you don't want that. So we're gonna fix this keyword. Let's say that it could be anything wrong about the keyword that you used that you wanna fix. So go ahead and right click on it. And then down there where it says edit keyword tag, click. And it's gonna pop up a window with the keyword the way it exists. So just get rid of the stuff you don't want and then say save. All right, so that means that you already have another beach lake keyword. So this is what you're going to need to do, because you created a beach lake with quotations around it and a beach lake without quotations around it. There are a couple different ways that you can fix this. So one would be to, let's try this. Click OK. Click cancel. All right, so we're going to go over and do a quick selection of all these photos. All right, so go over to where Beach Lake is highlighted. Go all the way to the right side till you get that little white arrow. The little white arrow. You got to come back a little bit. Come back.
Oh, yeah.
Click there. Okay, so it's going to show you some important information. I'll just share this with the group. We can all watch. Down here, there's some important status information that we can see. So what it tells us is that right down in here, this is all photographs. So we're in the main catalog. There are 72,389 photos in this catalog, and right now there are 24 that are being shown in the view bar down at the bottom. Okay, and one is currently selected. Okay, so Anita, what I want you to do is push down the control key, or you got a PC, right?
Yes.
Okay, push down the control key and A, and it will select all 24 photos. Go ahead and do that.
Is there a way to do it without doing the keyboard?
This is the fastest way to do it, Anita. Just go with me on this.
Okay.
All right. Why do you hate the keyboard so much?
Because I can't remember the keystrokes, and so I'm very visual, and if I see something on a screen, it triggers me to be able to, it's the way I learn. I can see it, I can do it. If I have to like remember keystrokes, forget it. It's just
there is
not
another way to do it, but it requires sacrificing a goat. So I don't think.
Okay, well, let's not go there, please.
Okay. So what we've done now is that on these 24 photographs, they're all selected, and we can see that the little box now is telling us that 24 photographs are selected. So all 24 photographs that have this keyword are now selected, all right? So what I want you to do is go over to the right-hand side of the screen a little bit and scroll up so that we can see the keyword panel itself. You need to go further to the right. There we go. All right. So what you can see is that for this photograph, Beach Lake is in there in quotation marks, okay? So one of the ways that we can add this keyword to all of these photographs is what we're gonna do, Anita, is scroll down. We're gonna scroll down to the other Beach Lake. Keep going. And there you've got another Beach Lake. So on the far left side of the little Beach Lake thing, there's a box there and it says, click to add this keyword to the selected photos. Click it. Now scroll back up to the top to the keyword panel. And we'll see that Beach Lake has been added. So now what we can do is we can delete the old Beach Lake tag because we just added the new Beach Lake tag to this one. Okay, so go ahead and delete it. Now go down to the sync metadata button. Wait for it, the window will pop up in a sec.
Good thing you're recording this because I'm never going to remember all this.
All right. Did you click the button?
I did. I clicked sync metadata. And
Do me a favor and do a Control Z, would you? All right. Do me a favor and just back up. That's really odd. Okay, just back up and type over Beach Lake. The one in quotation marks, the old one that we don't want.
just use the backup key.
Yeah, just back up over it. And hit the return key. All right. So what happened was that we're still searching for Beach Lake, and now we can see up here that that Beach Lake tag no longer has any photos tagged to it. Okay. And Anita, if you could go to the right-hand side of the screen and scroll down a little bit so we can see your keyword list. Too far? Okay, you can see that the Beach Lake in quotation marks now is at 0. So go ahead and highlight the Beach Lake with 0, right-click on it, and we're gonna say delete this keyword. And now it's gone. Okay, so, but the problem is we use the arrows to get into this search mode. The only way to get out now is to go back up to the metadata panel up there, and then we're under keywords where it says all 217 keywords, click there. Okay. And because you, the problem here, Anita, was that you created another keyword that was very much like the one that you already had. So you had to delete it from all the ones that you didn't want.
Oh, this is a big mess. Well, welcome to my mess.
Big mess. You've only got 1, 2, 3, about 10 more that you got to fix that way. Not a big deal. Do not panic. All right. If you could, Anita, could you unshare, please? Okay, so was everybody able to add in at least a few keywords to about 10 photos?
Yes.
All right, so couple notes about keywording is that if you're going to keyword, it is strongly suggested that you keyword when you import your photographs and you think about your keywords ahead of time. One of the things that happens to a lot of folks is they do what's referred to as keywording on the fly, is that they're like, oh, I'm going to keyword this, and oh yeah, oh, there's a trash can in this photo, so I'm going to keyword trash can too. the more thoughtful you are about the keywords that you opt to use, the more efficient your keywording system will be, and you won't wind up with dead keywords like trash can that are in 2 out of 73,000 photos, which, unless you actually search for trash cans, aren't really helpful. Okay, Chuck, I didn't have time to fully research the question that you had, but one of the things I mentioned the other day is that you can make what are referred to as parent keywords to kind of keep your keyword library from getting huge. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quickly. All right, so I have a keyword library right now that has 25 keywords in it. And I'm saying, wow, this is like really dumb. But wait, there are 2 keywords, Alaska and Utah, that have to do with locations, like a state. What if I created a keyword to put all of those under? And I can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the plus.
I can't see your screen.
Your screen either.
Duh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's why. I'm sorry. I'm a newbie at this.
Oh, you're doing a good job.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got 2 keywords, Alaska and Utah, and they're at opposite ends because they're alphabetical of my keyword structure. Okay. For me, I'm already getting claustrophobic. It's too messy. Don't like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the keyword list. There's a plus and a minus. And I'm going to hover over the plus, and it'll say create a new tag. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put locations. Okay. And click create. So now when I come down to where the L's are, where did it go? I put it inside. I did. That's fine. Okay, be careful about these boxes down here. I just put this thing in the wrong place. So I put that under spring. So I need to go move it. All right, so I have this keyword that I just created called locations, and there's nothing in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my Alaska keyword. I'm going to click and hold on the bar, and I'm going to drag it down to locations and then let go. I'm going to come down here to Utah. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull it up and put it with. So now under locations, I have Alaska and Utah. So that allows me to start cleaning up my keyword library. Oh, I've got Hawaii too. So I'm going to grab Hawaii and I'm going to pull it down to locations. So now under locations, I've got Alaska, Hawaii, and Utah.
Did you right click to pull them down or left click?
Just regular click, that's a left click. Click and hold.
So like
when I say
Eagle River, would you put Eagle River under Alaska? Would there be another sub thing?
well, I could do that too. So I could pull Eagle River down and I could put it inside of Alaska.
Oh, cool.
Just like that. So in part answer, Chuck, you can create a hierarchy in where the keywords are stored. I haven't had a chance to check to see whether they will show up in the keyword list that way.
Okay.
But I will check on that when I get a chance.
Well, you know, I can see that the keyword thing can be a great tool possibly, or it could be less than efficient unless you really are thorough in establishing your keyword database. Because there's no point in doing searches for keywords if you haven't keyworded everything.
Right. The flip side, though, and this is what happened to us, is that you can go down a rabbit hole spending lots of time meticulously keywording and then never use them. And that was time for us that turned out to be wasted. Like I said, we don't keyword here at the studio. I don't keyword at all. It has not been a problem for us. And it's because of the way that we manage catalogs.
Mhm.
If we ran a single large catalog, let's say by year or something like that, we might consider going back to doing keywording, but we're not likely to do that anytime soon. Okay. So did anybody, when you were playing with keywords, did anybody run into any issues, anything that you couldn't do or it didn't make sense or it didn't work when you tried to do it?
Mine didn't work.
Yours did not?
No,
Well, you've got like 7,000 keywords.
I have 700 and gazillion. Well, if I entered Beach Lake, it didn't search anything. It just doesn't do the search on with mine.
Okay, go ahead and open your, share your window again real quick, would you?
Okay.
All right, so first thing, let's find a keyword that we know is there. So let's scroll down past the ones with the quotation marks.
Alaska.
All right, so you've got 32 photographs that say Alaska. So let's try searching for them. We'll go up to text. Keywords, you're going to type in, click the X and get rid of the Beach Lake out of the box there. And you're going to type in Alaska.
Oh, now it's working.
Okay, clear the box. We're going to try something else. Go back to metadata. Under the keyword column there, scroll down until you find the Alaska keyword. Click on it. Okay, that's working. Okay, scroll back up to the top because we have to go back and see all the keywords. So click on all. Okay, let's go back over to the right side keyword list panel and hover just to the right of the number 32 on Alaska. Click there. And we got all 32. So it's working all three ways.
Okay, and this is the evil way. I want to get out of this because it backs you into a quarter. How do I go back up here to this and I have to click here?
Yes. And
Okay.
now,
Boy, unless you use this actively, it's easy to get messed up. But
oh, it's like anything, you know. I always think about when I was learning to drive. I sat up perfectly straight, my hands at 10 and 2, mirrors perfectly adjusted, had the radio off. Took my brother's fuzzy dice off the mirror. Yeah, now I drive with my knee and I'm drinking soda and I'm adjusting the radio.
okay, I get it. Thanks. I'll stop sharing.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do now is any questions on keywords. There's a lot you can do with keywords, and this is the guts of how keywording and keywords work. Okay, so if you're interested in keyword sets, you can read up on it, and after you have played with keywords a bit, developing a keyword set, and you can Google it, will actually be pretty simple.
I think I'm loving this. I really think that this is a great thing because I have one catalog and I know, like you say, everybody has a different or can have a different approach and there's no right and wrong in terms of how you do the setup. But since I have one catalog, I can go in and enter a keyword American Dipper and boom, I've got all my American Dipper photographs, and that's a folder within my birds folder. It's a nice quick search tool. I'm going to continue building my database, and thank you for all the instruction on this because it's been really helpful.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so one last thing about doing searches. If you want to further limit a search, there are a couple ways that you can do it. We're going to come back over to the left panel for a moment. And you all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to expand a couple buttons over here. I'm going to expand the catalog button. I'm going to expand the folders button, and I'm going to expand the collections. Okay. So in the catalog right now, I have 8 photographs. The previous import was 8 photographs. I don't have anything randomly stored in my quick collection. I have a single folder, and I have 2 collections. Okay. If you want, as your catalog starts to get larger, one of the ways that you can limit searches, if you know, for example, that let's say that you went to the Galapagos Islands and you spent 2 weeks there, and you have like 8,000 photographs from the Galapagos Islands. So when you imported those things, you keyworded them and you did all sorts of great stuff. And you want to look through your catalog for your most recent trip to the Galapagos Islands, not the one that you did in 1964, okay, which is another folder, okay? One of the things that you can do is that if you click on a collection or a folder, you can limit the search of the keywords to just that item. If you want to search the whole catalog, you would come up to all photographs. If I wanted to search just in the class folder, I would click there. And that way, if I had multiple folders where I'd gone to the Galapagos maybe 2 or 3 times, and I said, I know I took that picture on my second trip, then you could click on the folder for just your second trip and search for the keywords just inside there. But it requires that you remember you did it on your second trip and not your first one. But if the keyword's small enough, and that's the other problem in coming up with keywords, is like, for example, when we were keywording, we used to keyword where we were shooting. We were putting Alaska on all of our photos. So we had a catalog with 48,000 photos, and every single photo had the word Alaska in it. Well, that was a stupid keyword because it was in every photo that we had, because everything we shot was in Alaska. What would have made more sense for us, which is what we had been doing, is we would put like Beluga Point, downtown Anchorage, Bird Creek. We'd be more specific about a location, and those potentially could have been helpful. So be thoughtful about how you keyword, compare it with how you shoot and how you plan to edit and process your photos. It needs to be a system that helps you and doesn't just suck more of your time into the electronic ether sphere.
One quick question. I had the same observation when I just did this this group. It was silly to put Alaska on it. Is there a max number of keywords per image?
None that anybody's ever hit yet.
Okay, good.
Okay, any other questions about keywords, keywording lists? So that's yet another tool in all of the tools that Lightroom gives us to categorize, sort, and find photos. And this, I really believe that if Lightroom had no other module but the library module, it would still be worth every penny that we pay for it, even if it didn't have the develop module. For those older Lightroom or Photoshop users, Photoshop had a similar tool called the bridge, but the problem with the bridge was it could only look in a folder or a subfolder at a time. So you had to know which folder to go to look for things like keywords. All of these tools were there, but they only existed inside of a single folder or subfolder. All right. Assuming that there's no questions, we're going to move on to metadata now. All right. And we're going to introduce a couple cool concepts when we work with metadata. All right. So in the metadata panel or subpanel, there is a drop down that gives you choices of what metadata you want to see. And which metadata you want to look at depends on, one, do you use this at all? Some people do and some people don't. If you do use a particular group of metadata items, which grouping of these is more important? So we're going to stick for right now with the EXIF and IPTC items. So if you could, on that little drop down on your version of Lightroom, click that so that it shows up in the little window right before you get to the word metadata. If you have problems getting there, let me know. When you're good, let me know.
How does that differ from the default?
It's more stuff.
Good.
The default group is a smaller group of things.
Okay.
Okay, so we click on metadata up at the top, and then what?
There's a window to the left of the word metadata. What does it say in that little window on yours, Tina?
I'm not sure where you're talking. It's
Now,
still
we're in the right-hand panel.
still showing me my keywords and histogram and all that kind of stuff. Is that not the right place?
No, hold on.
Oh, down at the bottom, metadata. I got it. I see.
Okay.
I see. I think. And what should it look like? Wait, it doesn't look. It says presets, file name. Am I in the wrong place?
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Let's see.
All right. So what you're looking for is this right here. Give me a sec. You're looking for this area right here.
Okay.
You
So
find it?
up at the top, I've clicked metadata, but down here, I'm not clicking metadata.
No, and in fact, if the library filter is still open on your version of Lightroom, go ahead and close it, and you can do that by either doing the click the / key up by your default key, or you can go up to View and then click the button that says Show.
Show what?
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Show filter bar.
Show.
That's either way. Either way, you can close that library filter at the top.
It's still, what's it doing? It's not changing what I'm seeing to the right here.
Okay, do me a favor. Go ahead and share your screen, Tina. Let me stop sharing here. Okay, go ahead and share yours, please.
I clicked on metadata up here.
No, that's not where you want to be. Okay.
Oh, there, okay.
So first thing we want to do is we want to close this window. So push the / key. Okay, and it hid that filter, which is what we want. So what I want you to do is come over to this panel over here. And minimize the keyword panel. So you'll have to scroll up a little bit. And right next to keywording, go ahead and click that. Click the keyword. Click the key right next to the word keywording. Right there. Click that little triangle.
Okay.
And now down here where it says metadata, okay, that little window right here, click in there. And I want you to go down and pick EXIF and IPTC.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Okay, so go ahead and unshare, please.
Okay.
All right, so now that we all have EXIF and IPTC here and it says metadata, go ahead and expand the window. And just take a quick look and you can scroll down and you can see a ton of stuff here. So it starts with EXIF data. And EXIF data has to do with the exposure settings that were set on the camera. So for example, it tells me how big the file is in pixels. It gives me the exposure, a 1/30th of a second at f/22. It tells me I did not fire a flash. I didn't use any kind of exposure compensation. My metering mode was set to spot. My ISO was 100. The focal length of the lens I was using was set to 19 millimeters. The lens I had in was an EF 16 to 35 f2.8L USM. And in fact, it will also tell me the serial number if I want to dig that up. But down here, it shows what I shot it with and the serial number of the camera. That's just creepy. Okay. All that information is embedded in the photograph itself. Lightroom is reading that data from the photo file. If you have a newer camera and you have a GPS function in it and you have it enabled, the GPS data would show up in these windows down in here. All right.
This is so powerful, because last night I was photographing cranes and I was trying to teach myself, reacquaint myself with some back button focusing issues I'm having, and I was playing around with all kinds of settings and just trying to learn some stuff. And this is so helpful because it tells you what your metering setting was, and that's going to be helpful for me to learn from my mistakes.
It works for me. We live and die when we do postmortems on photos. We use Lightroom to do it, and we look at, is the problem in part due to the settings?
Yeah, I
Okay.
love this.
All right. So
Question before we go away. You mentioned GPS. Is that something you set in the camera or something you set in the data here?
yes, it depends.
I can show you my screen on a screen share because I've got my GPS and I use it all the time.
All right, hold on. Let me go ahead and stop sharing, and you can show what it looks like. Because I do not enable the GPS on my camera.
Okay, I use it. I love it. So here's that. So what I do with my GPS is, let's say with this photo, where was I when I took that? I click on map, and it's going to tell me, whoops, I don't want anybody to record my secret spots, but this is where I was. And I can hover over a given spot and say, okay, this time I was here and I got these cranes, and this time I was here and I got that, and I don't like it so much, but over here they were by the water, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So my
There are
camera-
cranes in Palmer.
I need
Oh,
to go
there
back
it
to the
goes.
library module.
I unscreen share because I don't want my secret locations.
So what I'd like you to do is go back to the metadata panel once you screen shared. Okay, there we go. All right, so pull up one of those photos that's GPS enabled and just go back in the library module. I don't want to look at the map, please. Go to the library module. Okay, and then scroll down to the GPS panel. That's weird, is that the GPS coordinates don't show.
So on this one, I must have done something when I was taking the photos where I didn't engage the GPS.
Find a photo that you did. So what I wanted to do is show people what the data looks like in the field.
Okay, okay, there.
There we go. All right, so to answer your question, Chuck, this is what the GPS data looks like when you have that information available.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can in fact go in and manually enter this information after the fact if you have it. The intent is that this is data that the camera is reading, that the software is reading from the camera. But it is possible on on this information to go in and manually enter it after the fact, but that would be super tedious. Okay.
So if I show a map on that, it shows exactly where I was when I took that. And if I go into, like,
I'd prefer not to get into this right now.
okay, sorry, I'm a little enamored with the mapping thing.
So if you could go ahead and unshare, please.
Yep.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's a moot point because my camera doesn't have the capability.
What are you shooting, Chuck?
A T5i.
Okay, because some cameras that don't have a GPS in it can have an add-on device that goes into, wait for it, the hot shoe.
That's probably what it's implying. It says something about GPS device settings.
So some cameras, not all, if they don't have a built-in GPS, can have a GPS attached to them, and depending on the model and the tool and everything, it will either go in your hot shoe or will connect to one of your remote inputs, typically on the left-hand side of your camera. And it varies a lot from model to model and manufacturer to manufacturer on how that works.
Huh. I'll follow up. Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'm gonna share my screen here in a second. There we go. And I wanna talk about, we're gonna finish a quick overview of metadata, and then we're gonna take a break, all right? So the first, with the EXIF data, the EXIF data typically is data that was imported or is actually in your camera file. And generally speaking, you don't want to mess with this. For a big part of it, Lightroom won't let you change some of this information. All right. You notice how a lot of these things, like up here where the ISO is, there's not a box, it's just printed information. That means I can't change these. I could add a comment, I could add GPS information down here because those boxes allow for input. Okay, if there's not a box, like for the metering mode, that means it's data it's reading from the file itself and it won't change it. Okay, all right, so EXIF information has to do with camera settings and physical things about when you took the picture. When you get down to IPTC, we start getting into information that has nothing to do actually with the picture itself. So although contact information isn't technically IPTC, I kind of lump it in. IPTC is an abbreviation, and I don't remember what it is, but it has to do with ownership and copyright and workflow. So for example, some of the information in IPTC would be useful at a place like Sports Illustrated, where they've got 50 or 60 photographers and 20 or 30 photo editors working on stuff. And it's a way that they can keep track of where this picture is from and where it's going in the magazine, right? But any of these fields where you can highlight, you can type stuff in. So I'm gonna come back to this photo here, okay? So you can see that there's a couple fields in here that are already filled out. All right, so what I can do is I know that I took this photo, the location of it was here in Eagle River, okay? So I can enter in here, Eagle River. And then state is Alaska. Now, I can come back up here to the contact information, okay? So the creator was us, and I can put in our studio address, 11823 Old Glen Highway. Okay, I can't spell highway. Highway doesn't have a B in it. Okay. La, la. City is Eagle River. State is AK. The postal code is 99577. The country is USA. And my phone number is 907-727-1284. My email is GUTIERREZ @gci.net. And I don't want to give them my website. Okay, so all that information is in the photo, okay? Because those are boxes I can enter information into. Now this information, unlike the EXIF data, is stored in the catalog. The EXIF data is stored in the photo. So for example, if I gave a copy of this photo to Anita and she imported it into, I gave her the raw file and she imported that raw file into her computer, she would get the EXIF data because it's in the picture. She would not get that information that I just typed in, because that information right now is only in my database. It's in the catalog for right now. Now, when if I export this photo, and I don't give Anita the original copy, but I export a JPEG copy of it, this information will be embedded in the photo when it gets exported, because I've got Lightroom set to export that way. So anytime I give a photo to anybody, embedded in the photo is all this information, okay? But right now, because the original photo is a raw photo, this information only exists right now in the catalog. Whereas this information, the exposure information, is actually in the file itself because the camera put it there. All right. So there's all sorts of information about workflow. This is like what a magazine might use. Copyright information. I recommend that you copyright all your photos. Okay, so that is an overview. There are other fields available. When you have some time, you can play with the different fields of what Lightroom will display for you. Which one you choose depends on, do these fields matter to you? Do you use them? Are they of any benefit to you? All right, so let's do this. It's just about 11:30. Let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll reconvene back in about 10 minutes, okay?
How about that?
Hey, Marco,
Yeah.
can you show us how to you were down in the copyright section right before we broke
Right.
for break. How do you fill out the copyright so that it affects all your photos globally?
Well, we're just about to get to that.
Oh my God, I must be clairvoyant.
I knew you were good. I didn't think you were that good.
So the reason I went through that was what I wanted to show you was that, like everything else in Lightroom and Photoshop, you can go into the software and enter stuff one thing at a time. But if you're importing a couple hundred or a couple thousand photographs, it's not very user-friendly. So all of these items, again, if there is a box there, you can type information in manually, okay? But like I said, this is not really, really handy. So what we're going to talk about next are presets, because you're going to run into presets in a couple places in Lightroom. There are presets here in the metadata. There are presets in the develop module. There are presets in the slideshow module. And most of the modules have presets. So what is a preset? A preset is simply a bunch of information that you apply all the time. And in the case of metadata, for me, we have presets that we use because typing this stuff into every photo is really, really painful, okay? So what I'm gonna do is have each of you create a contact information in one. Does anybody have a preset already, by the way, for metadata? Anybody? Last chance. Anita, I'm looking at you.
I'm too scared to touch it. I shut down when I hear the word.
All right, so what I'd like you to all do is pick a photo, go into the presets, and go down to the contact information part.
When you say presets, we're still in that metadata EXIF and IPTC thing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's where we are. So what I want you to do for right now is go down to the, for the photo that you've selected, go down to the item that says contact. And the subcategory should be creator, job title, address, city, state, province, postal code, country, region, phone, email, and website. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what I want you to do is fill out that portion of this metadata. Just type it in.
So do we want our personal home address on every single photo?
Just don't put my address. That's all I'm asking.
Oh,
Yeah. Here's the deal, Anita. The idea of this information is that if your photo winds up somewhere, one of two things can happen. If somebody wants to contact you and buy your photo, they know how to get in touch with you. Likewise, if you discover someone is using one of your photos incorrectly, you can prove that it's yours because your information's inside of it.
But do you have to put your home address so they know where you live?
You can put whatever way that you want people to contact you. You can put Chuck's address and then go over to his house and see if anybody's checked in with
There
him.
you go.
Absolutely. It's on my screen. If you can read my screen.
All right.
But for purposes of validly identifying yourself as the creator of the photo, I guess my question is, how critical is it that you have to have your home address, or can you just have Eagle River, Alaska, and your email and your phone number?
When in doubt, Anita, I use 123 Main Street or 123 Elm Street.
For legal purposes, the problem that could potentially create is that if you get into an argument with somebody over unauthorized use of your photo and you wind up in court with them, one of the things they'll say is, we tried to contact them at 123 Main Street and the mail came back. So we assumed it was bogus information.
Oh,
Yeah.
My recommendation is if you this information is there specifically so people can get in touch with you. So putting in parcel information, you might as well not put it in at all.
okay.
You may decide that you're comfortable putting an email address or a phone number, but not a mailing address or your home address. We always put the studio address here because I don't live here, so I don't care.
Mark,
I'm going to take the street out.
Marco, I went in and did that black flag on one of my photos and closed out and came back in and it was still there.
Still there? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about Don and Lorelei because they have older versions of Lightroom.
Okay.
But thank you for doing that for me. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right, so everybody let me know when you've got the box ready to go.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
So how do we put all that contact information collectively in all the photos?
That's what we're gonna do in just a second.
Oh, sorry.
So once everybody's got the information in,
I'm
Oh.
in without street address.
all right. So Anita, you're good?
Yep, I'm good.
Tina?
Yep.
Chuck?
Yep.
Lorelei?
Yeah, I got one.
Don?
Yes.
And Ginger?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm gonna have you all do is come back up to the box at the top of the metadata file. And let me get just so that we're talking about the same place. I want you to come to this box right here. And it currently probably says none in the box.
Yep.
Everybody find that?
Yes,
All right, and it says none for everybody, correct?
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
so what we're gonna do is we're gonna click in that drop down. And we get a little window, okay? And because we don't have any presets, what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the box that says Edit Presets. And then what should happen is a box will pop up that says Edit Metadata Presets. Ginger, you see it? Don?
Yes.
Anita?
Yes,
Doug?
Yes.
I got it.
Okay, all right, everyone's good?
Yes.
Tina,
Good.
Yes.
you fell off my screen, I can't see you.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, all right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna scroll down in this box and we're gonna make sure that the basic info, the camera info, and the IPTC content are left blank. We're going to come down to IPTC copyright, and I'm going to change this to 2020.
IPTC copyright?
Yep,
We should put 2020 in there.
sure.
Okay.
And then I'm going to change the status to copyrighted. Now, technically, this is not true, because if you have not registered a copyright for a photograph with the federal government, it's not copyrighted, not technically. Okay? But that's beyond the scope of this class. But I always tell people that they are, just because they're less likely to steal my stuff. Okay.
So you have to copyright each individual photo. You can't just have a copyright for your photos.
That's more or less correct. There is a way to bulk copyright photos. But you can't generically say all my photos are copyrighted. They have to be registered. Okay. So what you should see then is under IPTC copyright, there's now a square dot in the middle of the box by that. Everybody see it? Don?
Yes.
Anita?
Mm,
Mine
no,
The words IPTC copyright.
mine has a check in it.
Mine has a
Did you
little,
check all 4 boxes?
oh, yeah, I got you.
Oh,
Got it.
yeah, I clicked
What
off.
you do is you should only check these 2 small boxes on the right hand
Got
side.
it. Got
Okay.
it. I'm there. Yep.
Chuck, you good?
Not quite. All right, I'm in edit preset. And so I go to copyright and I put in 2020.
Sure. And then change the status from none to copyrighted.
Okay.
All right. So what you should now see on the right-hand side, there are check marks in the 2 little boxes on the right-hand side
Yes.
and a square dot in the box that says IPTC copyright.
Oh, I see it now. Yes.
It
Okay.
has a dash there. Mine
Mine
is like
has
a,
a dash too.
Okay.
Is it okay?
All right. So now we're going to go down to the next box, which is IPTC creator. All right.
Yes.
And just to make it easy, I'm going to check the box right next to IPTC creator. Okay. And what it will do is it'll put check marks in all the little boxes on the right-hand side.
okay.
Tina, you good?
Yep.
Chuck?
Yes.
John?
Yep.
Anita?
Good.
Yep.
Ginger?
I'm good.
Good.
All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down just to make sure that there's nothing else checked that we don't want to include. Okay. And we're not going to include the keywords in this preset. Okay. So make sure go all the way down to the bottom and uncheck the keyword box if it's checked, particularly if there's keywords in there.
Marco, all of my boxes in this drop down for edit metadata presets, all my stuff is checked like from the top.
All right, to do this, go over in the left-hand side in the big box by each of the main heading items, like basic info, there's a check there.
Yeah.
Uncheck it.
Okay.
Uncheck camera info.
So even all my GPS I don't want on there?
Nope, because it's not going to be the same from photo to photo. This is
Right.
a template. We're going to apply this to hundreds of photos simultaneously.
So if I'm why would I want 2020 if I'm going to apply it to things that might not be in 2020?
Because you want to update your copyright to the most current date possible anyways. Even if you took the photo 10 years ago, copyright it now.
Okay,
Disney
so
copyrighted Snow White, okay? Just put that out there.
okay.
So, and then uncheck the box for IPTC content. For copyright, you should have either a dash or a square box because the copyright year and the status should have information, but usage and copyright info should be blank. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Then go down to IPTC image, uncheck that. Then IPTC status, uncheck that. Then IPTC extension administration, uncheck that. And in fact, all the rest of the main boxes on the left-hand side, uncheck all of them all the way down to the bottom to include keywords.
Okay.
All right. Everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to come down here. We're going to go, not down. We're going to go all the way back up to the top.
Yes.
Let me turn my,
Save. We save.
not yet.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry.
that's where we're headed. We're looking for this box right here at the very top of the preset window. Okay. So we're going to go into this box. We're going to click the drop down, and the first item is save current settings as new preset. We're going to click that, and then we give it a name. Okay. So I'm going to call this one General Contact Info. You can call yours whatever you want. You can call it Beelzebub if that like trips your. As long as it makes sense to you. Once you've given it a name, click the Create button, and then click the Done button, and it'll drop out of the editor. All right, everybody good? Ginger? Don?
Yes.
Anita?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Lorelei?
Good.
Tina?
Yes.
Okay, so now that we've created a preset, what I want you to do is come back over to the preset window and click the drop down. And now you should see the name of your preset appear probably right under the word none.
Yep.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to select another photo. Just pick one, okay? So pick a different photo than the one that you created.
Okay.
And what you'll see is that if we go down to the contact information, it's blank.
Yep.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to go up to that preset that we just created in the little window, and we're going to click it.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you go back and look at the contact information, it's been populated with the information you created in your preset.
Oh my gosh.
So now all you have to do is every time you import a photo, one at a time, open them up and click this button and you'll be good. Okay. So if you've imported like 1,000 photos, you just have to do this 1,000 times and you're good.
No way.
Okay. No.
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 Lies.
All right.
Oh.
So one of the other things that you can do is you can apply this to multiple photos. So what I want you to do is pick 2 or more photos that don't have this information in them yet.
I forget how to click. It's command something.
And make sure that you're in the grid view, okay? So make sure that you've clicked this box down here and you're in a grid view and you're not seeing a single photo.
Marco, what do you click again when you want to select all of them? Like the first one and the last one? What button do I hold?
Shift.
Shift. Okay.
How do you undo if all your photos are highlighted? How do you,
Control D.
or select none? Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So pick just a couple, make sure they're highlighted. And then once you've done that, go back over to that preset drop down, select it and click it, okay? And then it should pop up a menu that says, apply the preset to all selected photos or only the active photo. And the active photo is the one that has the focus. It's the brighter of all of the selected photos. In this case, we want all selected. So you click that, and it will now apply that preset to 2, 3, 4, or 1,000 photos simultaneously.
I got lost on this. Can you,
All right, so pick 3 or 4 photos,
right?
okay? All right, I tell you what, Anita, go ahead and share your screen. I'm going to
Uh-oh.
unshare. Stand by. All right, go ahead and share. Okay, so go ahead and unpick everything. We'll only do this to 3 photos, just so that you get the idea. So do a Control D or select none, either one. Okay, so pick 3, 4, or 5 photos. It doesn't matter how many. All right, so now over in the metadata window, you're gonna, where it says preset, you're gonna click the drop down and you're gonna click general contact info.
Oh, there it is.
All right, so you wanna do it to all of these, so you click all selected. And now if you go into those photos one at a time, you'll see that your contact information is now in all the metadata for all those photos.
Wow, that's powerful.
There's more, okay?
Oh, no.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more exciting,
Oh my
Lightroom
God.
throws another ringer at us.
I have to go get the duct tape. I think my head's going to explode.
Me too.
All right, so what I want everybody to do is, let me share my screen again. All right, we're gonna pretend that we went out on a photo shoot and we are gonna import a bunch of photos from the photo shoot, okay? So I'm going to say, all right, I've copied the photos off of my memory card into a folder on my computer and I'm ready to import them, right? So I'm gonna come down here to the import button like I always do and I click on it. Give it a sec. All right, so the window comes up and I'm gonna navigate to my pictures and they're under here, they're under workshop and class photos folder 2. Okay, so I'm gonna click that and it's gonna pop up a bunch of photos that we took. All right, so I'm going to add them at their current location just like I did before. I'm gonna build minimal previews. I'm gonna not suspected, but down here in metadata, I'm gonna click general contact info. Then I click import. So now what happens is that preset that I created is now being applied to all the photos as I import them. And that's the way we do it here at the studio.
Wow.
And once you leave it set, it'll stay on unless you turn it off. So every time we import stuff, our copyright information, our address, our contact stuff, all gets automatically put in all of our photos when we import them. So for example, I'll pick this photo of Tess. And if we look at Tess's contact information, if I scroll down, why am I not scrolling? Okay, there we go. My contact information was populated into this photo. It's in all of them.
Is it only the ones in that folder?
It's, yes, because that was a new import and this preset didn't exist before. So if I want to add this to photos that are already in my catalog, I could do that. And it would, this is how I would do it. I would come up here to all photographs. And this pulls up every photo in the catalog. Now my catalog only has 25, Anita's has 73,000. But once I pick all photos, I would come down here, just click on any one of them, and then do a Control A, and it will select everything in my catalog. Now, one of the things that you'll see over here in the metadata is it changed from information to mixed, which means that data is in some of the photos and it's different in other photos, so they don't all match. So now I come back up here to preset, click general contact information, all selected, and if I was Anita, I would have just added my contact information to 73,000 photographs all at once.
Holy smokes. My head is spinning.
You want the duct tape?
Yeah, please. Extra large roll.
And in fact, if I scroll down, I can see that now this contact information is, in my case, in all 25 photos. Anita could right now, as we speak, add that contact information she created to everything in her catalog. And then she's up to speed. And then going forward, if she does it on import, it'll automatically be added when she adds new photos to the catalog. And that's the way we do it.
So whenever we make a new catalog, then we should just go in and do that.
Yeah, but the good news is that that is a preset that is not catalog specific. When you create a new catalog, that preset will still be in Lightroom.
Oh.
So if I was to go out and create another catalog and import 1,000 photos, the preset that I just created is still there.
Okay, but the catalogs that are already made, we need to just go in and do it.
You have to go, when you open let's say you have an old catalog, you open up the old catalog, the photos don't have the contact information, but the preset you created is in the metadata drop-down window, and you can go back and easily add it to all of them.
Okay.
I wish I could take credit for having this being this way. Well, in fact, I think I will. Yeah, I told Adobe to do this. Okay. Was everybody successful in creating a preset, adding metadata, and then adding metadata both manually and with a preset?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, Lorelei, you dropped off my screen.
Oh. Hello.
Yeah, were you good being able to do that?
Yeah, I'm good.
All righty.
Should we go through them right now and do that to our whole catalog?
Say that one more time, Tina.
Should we just select all the photos in our catalog and do that right now?
Sure, go ahead if you want to.
And so you say you click one, Control, and then Control A.
And it'll pick everything in the catalog. So how many photos are in your catalog?
For me, is it Command A on a Mac?
Yes.
Okay. 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 And then go over to preset. It's already showing that, but do I click on it anyway?
Mine's not as instantaneous as yours. My little circle's spinning round and round and round.
That's because you have 73,000 photographs.
So when I did that, the preset general contact information was already in the little box.
In the preset box.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's supposed to be there. That's how you know that you can click on it so you can use it. It
Okay,
will always, from now on, unless you delete that preset, it will always be in Lightroom. Even if you upgrade to a new version, it will copy that preset over for you and it will be in Lightroom.
how do I though make it, because so I highlighted all my photos and then I go over there and it's already checked. Does that mean they already have that preset? Or do I have to go?
Tell you what, I'm going to unshare. Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Oh, I think I shared the wrong thing. Did I share the wrong screen?
Yeah, go back out and just pick the one that says Lightroom.
There.
Okay.
Like
So
I've
all
already
the photos are
selected.
selected.
Yeah.
And let's see, it says that your catalog has 70 photos in it.
Yeah.
All right, so scroll down for me until we get to the, on the far right side. Grab that scroll bar on the far right side, scroll down until we can see the contact info. Up too far. We just want to see the contact info. Okay, go up a little bit. No, other way, down. I'm sorry.
Contact. Okay.
Okay, so what that means is that there was some sort of information in some of these windows and not in others. The one that's currently highlighted, did you already add the contact information to it?
Oh, probably not. I just clicked any random one.
Well, let's do this. Go up to the top, scroll up.
Okay.
Click your preset,
Okay.
click it again. Let's see if the dialog comes up. And it's not, so I'm guessing that all these currently have the information in it. So let's pick a couple photos at random and check.
Okay.
So unselect everything.
How do you do that? Command Z.
Command D.
Oh, D. Okay.
And then pick a couple photos, just one at a time. Pick a photo and then scroll down to the contact information part and see if it's there. Okay, so like it's there. So let's go back up to the, scroll up to the contact, to the preset. Click the preset and click general contact info and then scroll back down and check it. Okay, so the preset, you went past it. Okay, so the preset is there. So there was, why didn't it, all right, so let's select everything again. Oh, do me a favor, hold on a sec. Do me a favor and click that box right there. Okay, just wanted to be sure. All right, so everything's selected. All right, and scroll back up to the preset window. And click General Contact Info. And all selected. I don't know what happened the first time. I don't know why I didn't take that first time. But that's how you would go back to old catalogs and update all of the metadata at one time.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
But
go
the
ahead.
other one, she was not highlighted the first time. That's why it didn't show.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Okay, so where we are right now is that this idea about presets is important because when we get into other modules, like in the develop module, there are presets in the develop module as well. And the mechanics of setting up the presets are a little different in the develop module and in the slideshow module, but the idea is the same, is that you have a bunch of settings. And in here, the settings are information. In this case, it was your name, address, contact information. When we get into the develop module next week, the settings are going to be develop settings. Some people love presets. Like, for example, I have 3 young ladies at work here. 2 of them live and die by presets. The third one thinks presets are stupid, and she refuses to use them. Okay? It's the way that she works. And here's the other thing too, is that the presets that we just created are stored differently than other information. So most of the information about your photos is in the catalog. So, and this is what I'm about to say is important that we understand this, that the preset information, the preset that we created is in Lightroom. It's stored in a file in your folder system where the Lightroom software lives. And it stays there. The information that we use that preset to populate into all those different photos, like Anita, did yours finish writing them, Anita?
Well, it didn't really
Yes
take.
or no? This is yes. Yes or no?
No, no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. Always,
All right.
always, no, no, no.
Okay. All right. This is like a courtroom. It's yes or no. No, I'm sorry.
You'd think she's an attorney or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Not like anybody has legal training. All right.
Right, yikes.
Okay. So if you put this contact information into a photo, then that contact information is now also in the catalog because it's now attached to the photo. But the preset itself is not in the catalog. It's in Lightroom, in the Lightroom program, okay? So when you close this catalog and create another one or open an old one, the preset itself is still available because it's not in the catalog, it's in the program, okay? Presets are not in the catalogs, they're in the program. They're stored in different places on your computer, but they're in the program. So for example, as we create presets for metadata and developing presets and slideshow presets, if we open up a new catalog, all those presets are available. If we upgrade to a new version of Lightroom, those presets are also still available, because part of the upgrade process is the upgrading routine goes in, looks for them, and makes sure that they're still available when you open the new version of Lightroom, or the upgraded version of Lightroom. So for example, in Lorelai's case, is that she's got a new camera, and she's at a point where if she wants to keep using Lightroom, she either has to start monkeying with DNGs, or she's got to upgrade Lightroom to a newer version. If she opts to do that, when she gets the new version of Lightroom, those presets, that preset that we just created, will still be there for her.
Okay, say that back again. But but I have a version 6 version, which is super duper old, that you mentioned that it's not upgradable, if that's a word. It's not upgradable. So now I'm thinking, let's just go ahead and get a subscription, or maybe get the newest version, just buy it. So I'm gonna have to make new ones, right?
No, the preset, what I was just saying was that the presets that you just created, when you upgrade the software, the part of the program that actually does the upgrading, normally 95% of the time will copy all your presets over, and you'll have them available. If they don't, and it happens from time to time that your presets don't make the jump, they're easy to copy over from the old program to the new program, because they're a little file that's embedded in the place where Lightroom lives on your computer. And you can copy those files and move them. And if for some reason your presets don't upgrade, you can do it manually, but it almost always works.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Marco, what did you say if you update your photographs and then you go in and look and it says mixed? Did you say
What
not
that
worry about
means is that when you're looking at multiple folders, let's say like in Anita's case, okay, she's got 73,000 photos. So when you look at the metadata, and for example, if you look at just the title, the image name and the metadata, well, it can only display one. It can't display 73,000. So anywhere where the values are different, it'll show the word mixed inside of those little window, the caret things.
Okay.
Any place where the information is the same, it will give you the actual information.
Oh, okay.
So for example, in those 73,000 photographs that Anita's got, when her computer finally gets done chewing through them and has upgraded it, if she selected all the photos, for all of the fields in the metadata, it'll probably say mixed, except for her contact information, because that's the same, that will be the same in all 73,000 photos. Okay, any questions about making presets? You can have multiple presets, by the way. So for example, we have 3 here at the studio. Actually, we have 4. I have a preset for my personal work. Becky has a preset for her personal work. Anna Claire, who uses our computers a lot, has her preset, and we have the studio preset. So when I'm importing photographs that are my personal work, I just switch the preset from the studio preset to mine. And then we just move it back. So you can have multiple presets. And they can have obviously different information in them. And you can go back and edit your presets too. If after you, like for example, let's say you put your address in your preset today, and you move or you decide that you don't want your address in there, like Anita, because you know that you're going to wind up with all sorts of creepy people stalking you, so you don't want your address in there. So you decide to take your street address in Eagle River, Alaska, 99577 out of your preset. So you can go in and edit the preset and update the preset, and it will no longer be in the preset. But the 73,000 photographs that Anita just updated that preset to, that information is now in the photo, in the catalog for the photo. So if you want to get that information out of the 73,000 photographs, you have to resync the preset, and then it will erase that data, okay? So make sure you understand the difference between the preset itself, which is a set of instructions that the software will use to write into your files, and the information that's in the file. For example, my personal work has my home address in it. Okay, because I know that there are stalkers out there that want to follow me around, and I'm kind of lonely these days, so I'm hoping that they find me. So for my personal work, my home address is in there. When we first started in business, we operated out of our house for about 3 years. So our really, really old photographs, when you go into our metadata for our first couple, 3 years of work, the contact information shows our home address. And I've just never bothered to go back and update it. All right, so far so good. Any questions about metadata presets, or applying it to 1, 2, or 1,000 photos? Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple more things in the library module. So let me go back and share my screen. Okay, so I'm just going to pick one photo to be shown, and I'll pick okay, so one of the things I wanted to show everybody is right now, if you notice, all the photos in my toolbar are highlighted. Okay, everything is selected, and the focus is on this photo number 18. Okay, and in fact, if I look right here, it'll tell me that there's 25 photos in my catalog and 25 are selected. Well, I don't want them all selected. So one way that I could clear them is on a PC, I would click Command D. On a Mac, I would click Alt D, and it will unselect everything. There is another way to unselect everything. So let me make the toolbar bigger, or the all right. If I come back and put my cursor on the border of the thumbnail, like at the top, and click, it will unselect everything and pick just that one. So if you have 3, 5, or 72,000 photos selected, and you want to go from all of them to one, this is another way to do it. Pick the photo you want and click on the border, and it will unselect everything and select that one for you. Okay. So again, there's lots of ways to do stuff. So one other thing I wanted to show you is about renaming files. Okay, so the photo that we're looking at right now is a raw photo, okay? And it's got some information in it, okay? It's got the file name and .raw, and it says down here that it's a raw file, and it tells me, and Ginger, this answers your question, it tells me here that the file is 27.76 megabytes in size. Okay, down here, it tells me in pixels what the dimensions are. But what I wanted to talk about was renaming the file. So if I come here and say, I think workshop is a dumb name, I'm gonna change the name to, if you know her, that's fine, but we're gonna say her name is Janet, okay? So I'm gonna change this from workshop to her name, okay? So all I do is I click in the box and I type in Janet and I hit return, okay? What happens then is right underneath it, a window pops up that tells me what the original file name was, okay? One of the pieces of hidden information in your metadata for your pictures is the original file name. and it's always there. So one of the things that when we start talking about renaming photos, which is what we're going to do here, is if you really, really, really mess stuff up and you need to go back to start over, there is a setting called original file name that you can reset everything to, okay? I still recommend being careful and getting it right the first time, because redoing stuff it makes you pull your hair out, and some of us don't have a ton to spare. Okay? Because when you lose the hair on your head, pulling your eyelashes out is really, really painful. Just speaking for a friend. Okay. All right. So that is one way to rename a file, is to come into the metadata and manually change the name of the file. And we do this from time to time. There's a bunch of reasons, excuse me, that you might have to do this, okay? But again, if you want to change a lot of file names, then you got a problem, okay? Lightroom gives us a couple ways to automatically change lots and lots of file names. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. All right. So, and this is a window, by the way, that I'm about to show you that shows up in several places in Lightroom, but it operates exactly the same way everywhere it shows up. So I have 25 files in this photograph, and I want to, all of them are named workshop something, except for this one, which is named Janet, okay? And I've decided that it would be really cool to rename all these photographs Bob something, okay? And any of you know me, Bob is the name of my father-in-law. So, all right. So I've decided that instead of calling these workshop with a number, I want to call them Bob with a number, okay? So this is the procedure for doing that. The first thing that you do is you select all of the photos that you want to rename. You can select 1, 5, everything that you just imported, everything in the catalog. I recommend you don't do that. And then, so I'm going to start by doing, I've got one photo down here selected. I'm going to do a Control A on my computer, and it selects everything. And I know that because right down here again, it tells me that I have 25 photographs selected, which is the total size of my catalog right now. All right. So what I want to do is I want to rename all these photographs at the same time. I don't want to do it 25 times. I want to do it once. So we're going to do the Anita technique first, and then I'll show you the keyboard technique. All right. So up at the top, under Library, I'm going to click it. And about halfway down, there's an item called Rename Photo. So I'm going to click that. And it opens up a what appears to be a simple dialog box. Now, I was monkeying with this the other day, showing somebody something, and I left it where it was. So I'm going to delete that. Normally, when it comes up, it normally looks like this. It'll normally, in the naming, it will say file name, okay? So in this particular case, I'm not going to do anything, all right, because it's already got a file name. So to get into the guts of this, I'm going to click this drop down, and it opens up some standard settings, okay? So one standard setting is I could click custom name X of X, and it will go through and input a custom name, and then behind the custom name, it would say 1 of 25 or 2 of 25 or 9 of 25, all right? So any of you guys that watch Star Trek, you know, the Borg 7 of 9, okay? All right, got no Trekkies here?
No.
All right. I have to get a different analogy. All right, so the next drop-down option would be custom name and original file number. That one might work for me. So I'm going to click it. So here's the deal. The number, when you create a photo, your camera generates a big string of stuff. Like it could be _MG_6472 or something like that. Okay, that last four digits in your file number has a special significance, and it has its own metadata tag. So in the EXIF data, that digit is available to you. So in this particular case, it's going to give me the original file number and a custom name, and then it opens a box for me to put the custom text in. So I'm going to go in there and type Bob. And what you can see is it's giving me an example of what the output names will be. Bob dash with the number 4318 in this case, because the 4318 is the original number that my camera gave this photo. Okay? So I like this. I'm going to go OK. Give it a second. It renamed 25 images. And now the files all have the name Bob dash and a number. Okay? And you can see that up here in the image screen. Okay? All right, so that's one way to rename stuff. So let's say you have a different idea about how things should be renamed. This is typically the routine that we use for renaming files. So what will happen is we'll go out on a shoot, and because we're typically shooting for a client, that client has a name. It could be a person, it could be a company. So in our case, we come in here, we select all the files that we just imported, and I'm going to come back up to Library, Rename Photos. The box will open back up, and we would put in the name of our client, in this case, Bob. And then it's going to rename all those files Bob with a number. Now, there's a reason that renaming your files is a good idea. And I'm going to pick on Anita because she's in a situation where this could happen to you. So the counter on your camera, when it creates those file names, the last 4 digits change. How many unique numbers can you make with 4 digits? 10,000. After you've taken 10,000 photos, guess what happens? Your camera rolls over back to 0. Now what happens is it changes other parts of the file name, but the last 4, which is a thing that Lightroom tracks, is the same. So assuming that Anita has been shooting with the same camera since she started, she has probably, it's safe to say, she has 7 photos in her catalog that all end in 0, 0, 0, 0. And she's got 4 that end in 0, 1, 0, 0. Because once the camera rolls over, the numbering just starts back up, okay? So to avoid that kind of a problem, by renaming your files, you don't run into this problem with having files with the same last 4 numbers, if that's a way that you track your photographs. Make sense or no?
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Okay, quick query.
Yeah, go ahead.
Review. Where is that on the bar again?
So it's up. Here, let
The
me,
rename file.
hold on a sec.
Is it on File, Edit, Library, Photo?
It's up here under Library,
Library. Okay.
up there, and it drops down. There
There
is
you
a
go.
shortcut. I need to plug your ears. The shortcut is F2. We'll pull that up.
Oh.
Okay, I see it. Thanks. All right. Rename photo F2.
Okay, so if I hit the F2 key, it pops back up. All right, so again, in the drop-down, there are some standard formulas for renaming that are typically used. If none of these work for you, I'm going to show you this very quickly. You can go down to the bottom in Edit, and it opens up a little window where you can create your own, all right? Anybody that has done any computer programming, there is a term that gets used by computer programmers called tokens. And a token is a bunch of code that stands in for information that will be there later, okay? So in this particular case, the tokens for using custom text and the file number suffix, which is that 4-digit number, looks like this, okay? But because Becky will have a cow if she realizes I've renamed a bunch of photographs after her father, I'm going to change them so I don't get in trouble, okay? A big part of my life is staying out of trouble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own drop down real quick, okay? So what I'm going to do is I want to use custom text like I did before, okay? So I come down here to the custom text portion of the dialog and I click insert, and it inserts the token for me, okay? Now, unfortunately for me, Bob is still the last thing I typed into that box, so it's going to show up for a while. All right, so into these different boxes, there's different items that I can insert. So I can insert the original file name, the file number suffix. I could put the folder name in here if I needed to. I don't know why you'd want to. The original file number, the original file name. Remember I said it's one that it stores? Well, I could go back to the original file names. And you know what? I think that I might be better off doing that. So I'm going to delete my little custom text box here. I'm going to come down to original file name. Once it's selected in the box here, I click insert, and it puts that back in, and I'm going to go done and then OK. Now what will happen is this will go through all 25 photos, and it will put them back to their original file names. They're all back to workshop. For most people, most people wind up not going into that editor. I just want you to be aware that it's there, okay? But this is how you go about renaming. You can either do a photo one at a time over here in the panel, or you can use the renaming, the file renaming feature to rename 1, 2, 1,000, 20,000 photos all at the same time, with the confidence that you can always go back and reset them back to the original file name if you did something that doesn't work out. This is one of the many do-overs that you get in Lightroom. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is, for the next about 5 minutes or so, I'd like you to rename a couple files. Rename one file manually, and then like rename 3 or 4 using this feature. And then when you're done, if you want, put them back the way they were, okay? Because this way, if you're practicing, you may run into problems. And that way we can address them.
My problem I'm having right now is mine is still putting the general information on my images.
It's
Because
putting
I have almost 90,000 pictures. Can I stop it?
yes, go ahead and share your screen for me, would you?
Oh, boy, you're asking a lot here. That's right. There.
So right now, should our file name just be, if we haven't done anything to it, it's just an image number?
Yeah, and all of them will be different depending on the kind of camera, the manufacturer, the model, how long you've been shooting with the camera. Okay, so you see where it says applying preset general info in the upper left?
Yes.
That progress bar right below there?
Yes.
Okay, that shows you where it is. If you want to stop it, just click the X. And it'll take a second, but it'll stop the process.
Okay.
And now it's done. All right, so go ahead and unshare. And Tina, go ahead and share your screen, please.
I'm muted because we have a bird in the house upstairs and my son's trying to get it out. Okay.
Okay, so do me a favor and click on the loop view button near the bottom of the screen.
Loop view. I don't know what that means.
You know where the little grid box is? It's just to the right of it. You've covered it up. It's that.
This-
Yep, click that one.
Okay.
Okay, hit the Z key because you've zoomed in. All right, up. Go
Okay.
back to the loop view and hit the Z.
Command Z.
Oh, just Z.
Z. Oh, I love that. I gotta remember that one.
V is for zoom, and we will get to that next time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so hit the I key on your keyboard for me, please. All right, so this shows me what the naming protocol is being used for right now. So if you have not renamed your files, they'll all be something like this. And how you decide to rename your photos depends on what you're doing with them. So for example, you can rename files when you are ready to export them. So if I had a photograph like this one, for example, and I had taken it and we had done this for a client like she did. In our system, we might put the client's name, all right? So the client was Cakes R Us, okay? So we would rename all these photos Cakes R Us and leave that 4-digit number in there, okay? So internally, when I'm looking for photos, I went, oh, that's a Cakes R Us thing. That way we can remember just by looking at the file name. But that might not be what you want to rename it when you give it to the client. So when you export the finished version of this photo, you can rename the exported version to something else using the same procedure we just used to rename them now. It's in the export dialog box, but it works exactly the same way as this one does.
Wowzer, I love this. This is so great.
Okay,
my
so I tried
God.
to rename it and it said cannot rename the file.
Who was that?
Tina.
Okay, so go ahead and the thing that you need to do is you can't get rid of the .cr2.
Okay.
All right, so try just giving it a different name.
Okay. Now what?
And hit the return key.
Could not be renamed.
All right, so let's go ahead and pull the, oh, you know what? This is something that we need to do for the group anyways. Go ahead and click the triangle at the bottom of the screen so that we can see your film strip. Okay, so if you notice in the upper right-hand corner of photo 28 there's a little exclamation point.
Yeah, I know. That's what
Go
I
ahead
was.
and hover on it.
Okay.
Click it.
Click it.
Click that little exclamation point.
Okay.
All right, and pull that little window that just popped up. Pull it back into the middle of your screen, would you? Just click and hold up at the top and drag it over.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason you can't rename these is that the link's been broken.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to reestablish the link. All right. So this is a good task for us to walk through with everybody. All right. So you shot these photographs when? And I am so super jealous that it was for Fire Island.
Actually, it's not for them. It's just for me practicing.
Okay.
So
Now I'm jealous. All right.
I don't know. I should have the date on them. 4/25. There you go. 4/25.
Okay. So you shot these recently, and so let's go over to the. Go ahead and hit cancel for right now.
Okay.
Because we can see that those exclamation points are on all the photos. So it looks like it lost the whole folder. Okay.
Yes.
So let's go take a quick look. So over under your folders, you see the Macintosh HD, and there's a triangle that's pointing to the left. click on the triangle and it will expand that portion of the panel.
Where are you talking about? Sorry,
On the left-hand side.
left-hand side. Up here, right here, right here.
That triangle right there, click it. Okay, so what everybody should see is where it says Fire Island Polenta C ... 70, the file symbol is grayed out with a question mark.
Mhm.
And that's an indicator that the link got broken. So Tina, after you imported these into Lightroom, did you move the folder, rename the folder?
I didn't think so, but I must have.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to reconnect it. All right. And it's really simple. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the cursor right over that little folder symbol with the question mark and right click.
Okay.
Okay. This is one of the Mac things that I can never remember. Go ahead and right click again.
I did.
All right. It should be popping up a window. Okay. Try a control click instead.
Like what?
Right on the folder, do a control click.
Command click.
Command click, I'm sorry.
Just command? Command what?
Command and click. Hold the command key down and click.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Okay,
Nope.
and you don't have a control key, right?
Yeah,
No.
I do.
Command is control.
No, stop. Is there a control key on your keyboard?
Yes.
Push that down and click.
Oh, so sorry.
All
Okay.
right, there we go. So what you're going to do now is find missing folder.
Okay.
All right, so now all we have to do is find the folder. So it looks like it's right there. All right, does that look like it?
Yeah.
Click on it. And then now you see back, it drops out and the question mark is gone off Fire Island. So if we pop up hit the triangle at the bottom of the screen to pull the film strip back up.
Okay.
You see that? Go ahead and click on the triangle again. Or not the triangle, but the little exclamation point.
This, oh, little exclamation point. Okay, got it.
Okay, so let's go back over to the folder. Cancel out of that locate thing. Go back over to the folder and click right next to that. There's a little triangle to the left.
Mhm.
Click that triangle and see if we get anything.
No.
Okay, so that's odd. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try technique number 2. So click the triangle at the bottom so that your film strip stays visible. All right, pick one of the photos and click on the exclamation point. Pull that dialog into the middle of the screen. It's off my screen on the side. I can't see it. Okay, so we're going to click locate. And so we need to remember the number was 6925. Okay, so now we need to navigate to where those photos really are. So let's pull your finder into the middle of the screen because it's going off the edge. I can't see it. There we go. All right, so now what you got to do, and this is a part I can't help with, is we've got to navigate to where those photos are. So let's go ahead and move up the tree so we can back up the tree.
What does that mean?
So
This?
click up there
Okay.
and shouldn't, help me out here, Mac folks. How do we back up the tree? She's at the end of the road here.
Click on that up arrow should go
What up arrow?
where there's 2 arrows to the right of Fire Island Polenta Cake. Where the mouse pointer is an up and a down arrow to its left.
I don't
Right.
see arrows.
Right.
I don't see an arrow.
It's a triangle. It's like a little half triangle.
I don't see anything.
It's just to the left to where the cursor is now.
Not showing anything there. You're saying it's right here? It's not showing anything.
Hold
Oh,
on.
there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
And-
So
all right.
try to click on that top caret.
Let's come back and click on this box right here. You seem to be stuck in your,
Yeah. Is it on the desktop?
Yep.
Click on the desktop.
What do you want me to do? Click on the desk.
No, no, oh, the word desktop.
Oh,
So go back into where we were just a second ago
here.
and go down to desktop. You went past it. Go back up. It's right.
I'm not seeing the same thing.
Right there.
It's over here. Okay, but not with the
Watch
bar.
Yeah, click on that.
Okay.
All right. So do you remember where you put it? Was it in photos or food photography lessons or where?
It's right here on my so 2020, and then I've got Fire Island right here.
Okay, but you have to
we can
navigate
see
to
that.
it inside of Lightroom.
It's right here. And then I have, wait, it's in working, wait, it's in, let me try that again. Let me move it over so you can see it. Working catalog. Fire
All
Island.
we can see is your Lightroom. We can't see the other stuff that
Can't
you're
see any
doing.
of that stuff. Okay. So I have it right here. It shows it in my, I have a folder for it, and it
All right.
shows Lightroom
Do me a favor,
catalog.
Tina, do me a favor, unshare this screen and reshare your desktop for me, please.
Oh, okay, yeah. Stop
Because
here.
we're seeing stuff that we can.
Gotcha. Share screen. And then you want to see all of this, I think.
Yeah, see the whole desktop.
So yeah, so I brought up this folder. I have a working folder, and then this is inside of it.
Okay, so go ahead and that folder that's open right now that says where the LRCat file is, move that
Move it where?
out of the way. Just
Oh, this whole thing?
yeah, just move it. All right, so that is where your catalog is. That's not where your photographs are.
Hmm.
Okay, the photographs are in 2020. Can you see it? Can you
Yep.
see that? And there should be right here.
All right, so what we have to do is do this navigation inside Lightroom, okay? So go ahead and close or move that dialog panel out of the way and go back into Lightroom, which is that one that you're currently in right now. And so now we have to navigate to where the photos are. So if they're under photos, click the little arrow under photos
There.
in 2020.
Okay.
We're following the thread back to where the photos are, not the catalog, the photos. So you said they were under 2020, right?
Okay.
Okay. And then click there. And now because we're looking for a picture, we have to go down and find 6925.
Okay.
We'll scroll down until we find it.
Right here.
Yep, click on it. And then it said it is selected. So now go ahead and pull up your thumbnail again so we can see it.
Okay. Oh, because, wait, why is it doing that?
Okay, I think you moved the photos after you imported them into Lightroom.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And this is why.
How
you
come
don't-
it's not showing my film strip when I come down here?
Okay, so let's unshare your desktop and look just at your Lightroom again.
Okay. Where is it? Lightroom. Okay.
All right, so Okay, so if we go, the reason that you're seeing nothing right now, do me a favor, it's driving me crazy. Tina, click the triangle at the bottom of your screen so that you're, no, in the middle.
Oh, this.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that way the film strip will stay up. There we go. All right. So what I want you to do to just make more room is go up to where it says Navigator in the upper left-hand corner and click that triangle so it'll minimize the navigator.
Okay.
All right. So now if you look under Macintosh HD,
Yeah.
You notice that there's 2 folders now.
Okay.
Okay. The original folder, which is where Lightroom Thought stuff was, and then the new folder that you renamed. Click on the other folder.
So right here, click on this,
The other folder.
this one.
Yep. Because that's where the photos really are.
Oh,
And now they're back in. And the reason I took the time to do this for the class is this is why once you get a photo or a folder into Lightroom, don't monkey with it outside of Lightroom, because you have to do this. Okay. Doing it once or twice isn't a big deal, but if you have to do it a lot, it gets kind of tedious. Okay. All right. So let's try renaming that photo now, and we should have better luck.
okay. Do I need to go to the same photo or just any photo?
Any photo, whichever one you want to rename.
Okay, so file name.
And there you go.
I don't know that I could do what you just did again. That was confusing.
Well, luckily, hopefully you won't have to.
I don't know how I didn't think, because Addie already told me all about that. So I didn't think I changed any. So I'm not sure how I changed it. So anyway.
Accidents happen, and it happens to us all the time. And we do this here at the studio more than I'd like, because we've got 5 people using 3 computers on a network. Accidents happen. And it's always fun with the new employees. The first time that they've lost 1,000 photos, they panic. Let them sweat for about 20 minutes, and we don't tell them.
So should I change this back, or what should
Okay, so the simplest thing to do to change it back is let's use the rename protocol. So go up to, at the top of the screen, you're going to need to see your toolbar. So you're going to have to click on library. No, not that library, the smaller one up at the top. And then rename photos. It's about halfway down the drop down. It'll pop up. Pull that over because it's off our screen again. Okay, click the drop down. And we don't have the original file number, so we're going to need to go into edit. Okay, pull that over again. All right, so what we're going to do is you're going to hit the backspace key and get rid of that. That's a token is what that's called. And we're going to come down to see where it says original file name?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to click insert. And it's going to stick that up there and then hit done. All right, so it shows you what the example is going to be. Hit OK. And the file name is back to what it started as.
Okay.
Okay. That brings us, for the most part, to the end of the library module. There are some other features in the library module that will speed your work up, but at this particular point, I recommend that you get comfortable with the things we covered over the last 2 days. When we reconvene on Tuesday, what we'll do is we're going to start by moving into the develop module, and we'll talk about how the tools work. It'll be we'll start with a general overview of the develop module and how tools work over there, because there's some new things that Lightroom will do for us that make it lots of fun to use. None of which, unfortunately, Anita, are menu driven. They're all, you click on stuff.
Oh, no, no.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
Get the oldest cat in the house to sit up on your shoulder and take notes for you.
No, they've got to have menu-driven stuff.
No. Not for developing photos. It's all sliders and buttons.
Oh, well, that's okay, because I can see those.
Okay, all right. They're not shortcuts. Okay. Any questions that we have over any of the material we covered the last 2 days?
I have a question. So I imported a photo, so it's under my previous import, and
Okay.
I went to drag it up from the bottom film strip or whatever that's called at the bottom up
Okay.
to a folder that I've already made or a collection I've already made, and it won't drag. What am I doing wrong?
Okay, so let's go ahead and share your screen. All right. So this is the photo in question, right?
Yes,
And you want to drag it to where?
McNeil River Bears.
Okay, so that's a collection. Okay.
Right.
So what should happen then is go ahead and click in the very center of the photo part of the thumbnail. So you want to click right in the middle of the picture, click and hold, and then
Okay.
drag it slowly at first.
Oh, okay.
And then
I
like,
was I was doing it like down here and stuff,
yeah, it's got to be on the picture part of the thumbnail for some reason. I don't know
and you
why.
have to hold it and then okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was not understanding what I was doing wrong.
Okay.
Thanks, Ginger, for asking for that, because I guessed earlier you had a McNeil picture, so now I know.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Go ahead and unshare, please. All right.
All right.
Any other questions? Anything related to the library module?
All right, Marco, this isn't a question, it's a comment. Okay, I've been struggling with broken links for decades.
Okay.
And I now, because of what I did and what we tried to do and what we were able to do for Tina, I realize I have been doing and creating all of these broken links. So I'll eventually figure out to fix them. But what I've really, the monster takeaway for me is to develop a process where I don't have broken links all the time. And what's happened is I get them out of the camera, I put them on a folder on the desktop, and then I copy them to an external, and I break the link. So what I have to do is put
Copy
them,
them or move them.
yeah, well, I move them. So what I need to do is I need to do that first, put them on the external where I'll feel good about it, and then do all my Lightroom stuff from that, I guess, is what I need to do.
This is a tough thing to answer. So one of the advantages of working with the files on your computer is that it's faster. Almost everybody, even if you've got a USB 3 connection or a FireWire connection between your external drive and your computer, it doesn't work as fast as an internal hard drive does.
Right.
So if you have the photos, if you originally download the photos and your working copies of the photos are on an external drive, it will slow down the original process of loading the file into Lightroom. And what you did, Chuck, is actually fairly common, where people they'll import their files onto their mainframe computer, their laptop or their desktop. They'll work on stuff, and then when they're kind of done with that project or that shoot, they move them onto an external drive, which breaks the link. Okay.
That's what I do.
All right. We do that a lot here. And so reestablishing links is something that we do on a daily basis, not because it was an accident, but because we move things. Okay. We have a problem with catalogs that you guys don't have to deal with. We move catalogs a lot between 3 different computers. And every time we move them, we have to reestablish the link with the folder. So it's one of the things that after the first time that the girls do it and they freak out, which is so funny to watch. I am going to hell when I die, I know.
You so are. You are.
Once they realize it, one of the other ones will say, okay, he's an idiot, but this is how you reestablish the link. And after you do it a bunch, and so like after they're here for about 2 weeks, it's like opening the door to come in. It's not that difficult. You just have to remember to do it so that you don't wind up with 500 or 1,000 files that you got to reconnect once you've moved them onto your external storage. Just you have to remember to do it when you do it. If you're going to take your working files off the computer, off of your desktop or laptop to save space and move them to another medium, you are gonna have to do this. And it's one of the reasons that we set our computer up on a network, is that our files, once we get them onto the shared hard drives, they never move. The working copies and the backup copies are all on our network. So those copies never move.
So maybe a temporary solution until I get a permanent solution is to put them on the off the chip onto the external, duplicate it, bring it into Lightroom, work on them to my heart's content, and then export the things I've edited. Yeah, I don't edit as much as most people, at
No.
least not yet.
You may want to try that, but I don't think if you move stuff off of the drive the way that you were doing before, it's a big deal, so long as once you do that move, you immediately reconnect the links so that you don't wind up with a big backlog of links.
Yeah. Okay, this has been extraordinarily helpful. I'm not out of the woods yet, but at least I know there is a path if I ever find it.
No,
Okay, so
what I do with mine, sorry,
I'm
is
sorry, Don.
the upper right, when I go to import, there's some options up there. And one of the options is copy to my external hard drive. So when it's downloading, it sends a copy to the hard drive.
Yeah, I've been, yeah, that's good for me to investigate too.
Yeah, upper right-hand side.
Okay, so a couple closing comments about catalogs and collections and folders. All right, and
Okay.
Chuck, this is going to be important, I think, for you, and Anita, for you as well, because you already have a really big catalog. And Chuck, your issue is you have a bunch of small catalogs we need probably to merge into a single catalog. And Anita, you need to go in exactly the opposite direction, is take a huge catalog and split it into smaller catalogs. So without getting into the details, I just want you to know that it is possible and it is relatively easy to duplicate catalogs, merge two existing catalog, merge an existing catalog into another existing catalog. So Chuck, so for example, let's say you had 13 different catalogs or whatever. You can merge all of the results from those different catalogs into a single catalog if you want to. You can also export parts of a catalog into smaller catalogs. So let's say Anita decided that her catalog was 73,000 photos, was too big, and she wanted to break it into a couple that are about 25 or 26,000 photos per catalog. And just to make life easy, she had 3 general categories: mountains, rivers, and wildlife. Okay, and that just worked out nicely for her. So there is a couple different options, but there is a way that she could create a collection inside of Lightroom, and then export that collection as a new catalog.
Okay. Good question.
Go
When
ahead.
you're done.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So while you were doing helping out Tina earlier, so I renamed a whole bunch of photos into Moose.
Okay.
So, and I click custom name. I renamed the file custom name to custom name sequence. Okay, so it renamed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, and then so for the future import and renaming, and I want them to continue on, is it gonna continue like Moose? If I shoot more Moose photos today and I import it, and I wanna join that into make it the same as Moose file, rename as Moose file, is it gonna continue on?
It depends. Um,
Oh.
It may not, depending on the particular folder and file structure that you've got. Lightroom will not allow 2 photographs to have the same file name. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's say you had a photo called Bob the Moose. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and then you decided to name another file Bob the Moose. Lightroom won't even ask you. What it's going to do is when you try and rename another file to Bob the Moose, it's going to say Bob the Moose, and then in quotation marks behind it, the number 2. It will automatically give it a unique name because it can't have 2 files with the same file name. Okay?
There's a box there. So file naming, custom name sequence, and then custom text. I wrote Moose, and then start number 1. So everything else were like Moose 1 .cr2, Moose 2 that. So if I import for future, is it good? So it's not going to continue to the last number that it got renamed?
It probably won't. Okay, so you're going to
Okay.
have to remember what the last number was so that you can use that as the start number.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thanks.
And that's the reason we don't do that here, is we
Mm.
keep the original number from the camera. The one time that causes us a problem is when we're shooting in the 990s on a photo shoot and the camera's going to roll over.
Reset.
So, what happens is that we start and our first 5 photos are like 9992, and then when it gets up to 9999 and I take the next picture, it rolls over to 0. And by default, Lightroom shows your photos in alphabetical numerical order. So the photos that is 0000 is going to be before the 999 photo by when we file it by default. If I don't want to see them in that order, then I got to restack them. So that's one of the times that bites us, but it only happens once every couple months. We just have to pay attention to it. It happens to us like twice a year. Okay. Split catalog. I can't remember what it was. I thought there was something super important, but I must have been mistaken. All right.
Sorry about that. My internet, I got logged off.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But I got your answer. That was important. So, okay.
All right.
All right.
Any other questions while we're still all together?
I never did get your email last night. So, and if you sent important stuff, I would like it.
So you didn't get the email last night. You just got the one this morning?
Correct.
Okay. I'll resend it. I got that the attachments on the other machine, so I don't have them on this one, or I do it from here. So I'll send that in a couple minutes. Any other questions about catalogs, importing, exporting, Anita?
I may need to stay after school if you have a couple minutes, because in practicing the renaming of stuff, I've screwed some things up really badly here.
Okay, we can work through that in just a second.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Okay.